everybody. We
He's
are
only
much bigger
good.
today.
We're ginormous.
Fucking Megamind!
Megamind? What
Dude,
is
I don't know how that
going on?
noodle neck holds you.
I'm actually insanely huge and strong. I've just shrunk my body down to fit you mortals.
Sure.
Wow.
This is actually an
big of a footprint?
interesting. This is an interesting first start. It's one of the first ones where it hasn't been like an odd first start where we had a different conversation.
Talk.
Leading on. No, I don't want to jinx it.
You already jinxed it. He already said it. So you don't say it. You say it, and then Onion goes full on like this. Anyhow. But yeah, so kind of not really jumping right into it, but to kind of recap what happened last week. The party had previously successfully defended Valzor's village from an invasion of sorts of monsters and large creatures invading before realizing that there was also an undead beholder and two fire giants that seemed to be controlled approaching the village from much further behind the siege of creatures that was sent in first. Using some clever use of spells, such as see invisibility, you were able to spot that there was a person amongst them that was leading the foray into the town. Deciding to take a more diplomatic approach, the party, not necessarily unanimously, but decided that at the very least they wanted to try diplomacy first, and those that disagreed were at least content to let them try before resorting to other measures. You set forth, negotiated, tried to see what options were available before settling on a 1v1 duel between a champion of your choosing versus himself. Having settled on letting Valzor be the hero of the day for his village, that's where Valzor came from, his village Valzor. He set forth with the help of the party, having stocked him up on items, magical buffs, and the like, fought against this person and came out successful. To which the companions of this person, who were observing the fight from afar, decided not to help him and to instead let him perish on the field of battle. Concerned, but albeit triumphant, the party returned back to the village, made some preparations to join them for a grand feast, discussed the reasons for why they were there, this supposed eye that was being held beneath the village, as well as where they were going to go from there. Valzor electing to stay behind, bid his farewells to the group. Some more teary-eyed than others, as the party parted ways with him. Making one final pit stop before returning to the surface and exiting the Underdark, the party decided to investigate the treasure map that Ember had purchased for 250 gold pieces from Glumridge, finding yet another key for Sir Yorglot's side quest of collecting all of the gem keys that he has been so anxious and excited to find, as well as Ember taking a quick dip into the lava, as that is something she has missed with her pyromancer abilities, and discovering something hidden beneath. Fortunately, Eris had suggested that, and it is thanks to her that we even were able to find it. Before then, the party set forth, making their way to the surface, encountering a new individual, a small fox that then turned into a kitsune, that has now introduced himself to the party as Yuma and agreed to share information for a ride into the capital of Viern. And that is where we leave off. Amber and Arthur driving the carriage. Reyna, Eris, Yorglot, and Yuma in the back of the carriage, or no? Or did Yorglot summon Phantom Steed? I forget. I don't think so. I think you were in the carriage.
Reneen was
yes.
Phantom Steed. Yorgla was in the carriage setting the deal with Yuma.
Yeah. But that is where we are at. So, what would you all like to do? Is there anything that you need to pick up from where we left off?
I don't think so.
Hmm.
Well, Yuma is gonna ask Yorglot again. Quick question. I noticed, well, actually, before I actually say this, would I know that Arthur is a ghost?
Very much so.
Very much
Okay.
so.
um, I was gonna ask, why do you have, this spirit with you? And looks over to Arthur.
I feel like Arthur hides instantly.
Oh yeah, he does. He just like he moves closer to Ember, just like snudges over, just like, please don't ask me to turn around.
She'd put her arm around your shoulder, just like it's okay.
It's a bit of a personal question, but he's a friend.
I see. I'm friends with few spirits. I mean, not really friends, more like comrades. I was just curious. It's nice to see that he is I guess a physical one, more or less. However that may
Right.
happen, I have you have my deepest regards, and I hope you guys are being good to him.
Thanks.
Amber would actually just kind of start laughing, just at the awkwardness of the conversation, and be like, just
Mhm.
while she's driving. Yes, he is very important, and we treat him well. But perhaps if we get to know you a bit better, we'll happily share more. But for now, that's all I think you need to know.
Mm.
What Rennie will kind of pipe up. What makes you want to go to the capital? Capital. Oh my goodness, my tongue stopped working.
Well, long story short, my village kind of sent a few villagers every now and again to do trade in the capital. I've never been there though, said, but I've just never really wanted to until now because I have no real purpose back at home.
Well, as you can see, it's relatively large. As she looks to the view, pretty sure we had a good view of it.
No, you see a wall.
Oh, right. The fucking wall.
You see like a bit over 90-foot high, just solid white wall that just spans as far as you can see right now. You don't see buildings, as none of them are visible over this wall.
Wait, how tall was it again?
About 90 feet. Bit taller than the trees that you're next to.
Okay. I'll be honest, that wall is very intimidating. All right. What time of day is it?
Going on late afternoon, closer to evening. You've been traveling the full day at this point.
So the sun's already setting.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I have no questions.
All right.
Does Reyna do anything?
No.
Okay.
Yuma, you mentioned something about a dragon dying
Indeed.
or
Yes.
going away. Or
Dying, yeah.
and you say you knew its sibling?
Its daughter, yeah.
Do you talk to this daughter often? It's kind of
Yeah.
hard to believe that somebody communes with dragons.
Well, whenever I talked to her, she was in a human-like form. Like I said, I ran into her one day and just kind of became friends with her. And before I knew that she was the daughter of said dragon. She just, seemed like a normal person that was living in the mountains, And eventually, she had told me what had happened and why she stopped talking to me for a little bit is because she was dealing with the passing of her father.
Did she tell you how her father died?
No, I don't recall. I think it was just from old age. I'd seen a skeleton in the cave that they had lived in.
There was a cave.
Yeah.
I'm assuming up in the mountains.
Yes.
Sounds interesting. I've heard that dragons' nests and caves usually hold grand riches.
I don't recall seeing riches, but they had a very elegant looking ice house.
A house.
Yeah, like there was chairs and a table made of ice and things like that.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Is there
But why
a
do you
name?
want to know? Oh, what?
Well, is there a name that the daughter goes by?
She. That's a little bit personal question, but I don't know why you want to know so much about these two.
Well, I've never seen a dead dragon before. I think anybody would be interested. If you don't wish to answer that, that's fine.
I guess I could give you a name. What?
Denver just pipe up. Well, we travel a lot. When you travel a lot, you're bound to hear a story or two about dragons. No, normally something reserved for myth and legend almost. So when you hear somebody's had personal encounters, it's intriguing.
Well, I'll give you her name, but as long as you promise that no harm will come to her.
Renine. Ooh, she's trotting right beside the wagon. Actually, looking around, there's no one around us, right?
Go ahead and make a perception check.
I'm bad. That was a 10.
Not that you can tell.
Well, if you do not wish to say it out in the forest on the way, you could say it later, but I can tell you right now.
I mean, it would be safer to say it now, wouldn't it? Compared to a city full of people.
Possibly.
The only
I will
reason
say
I
if you.
say, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say. We're interrupting each other so much. My bad.
It's
Just
okay.
finish your sentence.
I was gonna say, the only reason I'm so hesitant on saying her name is, well, she was the daughter of a legendary dragon, one that my village very much, God, I'm looking for the word.
Worshipped?
Yeah, worshipped. And, well, I know that adventurers, I don't know if you are the same, but adventurers tend to hunt dragons.
Well, I can tell you right now, we're probably your safest bet.
Truth be
You
told,
might. I'm sorry.
truth be told, we've never hunted a dragon before, so
Aye.
To be fair, I think that for the most part, we only hunt things that seem to cause harm or evil. We haven't really simply just killed a whole lot of creatures that are supposedly legendary or intelligent just for coin. There's
Aye.
normally some purpose behind what we do.
Well, the daughter's name is Taisha. No last name given.
What?
It was,
How do you spell that?
huh? It's Tyshia.
All right. Well, as you're talking, you continue traveling. Ember continues steering. All the while, still has an arm over Arthur's shoulder just until he feels comfortable enough to sit up again.
He does sit up and he just slowly turns and just looks at Yuma. Not like a scared look, but just just a curious look.
Does Eamon notice this?
Are you trying to be stealthy or are you just looking?
He's trying to be stealthy. He's like trying to.
Go ahead and roll a stealth check then.
Alright. 13.
What's your passive perception?
17.
Yeah, you see it.
Eamon just kind of
Yes.
waves with a smile.
Not knowing how to react, he just like looks around and he just gives like a small little wave back, and then just quickly turns around and just faces forward again.
How long until we reach the gate?
Well, as I was just giving Arthur a chance to reply real quick. You have been traveling. It looks like you have about maybe 10-ish minutes before you reach the gate. And as you're approaching and kind of coming into a bit more of the clearing that's been cleared out around these walls, you begin to notice a small path that seems to circle the outer wall, and there's a decent line of carts and wagons and people traveling by foot that are trying to pass through this like gated checkpoint. And it looks like they have, maybe 10 or so people in front of you if you were to choose to wait in line that are trying to get into the town currently.
I'd say we'd probably wait in line.
Yeah.
You wait for a few moments before eventually it's your turn, and everybody in front of you has made their way through, and about 5 people have filed in behind you. Seems like as it gets later, less and less people are showing up, and they might have just been finishing up potentially the busier portion of the day and just finally getting through the last remnants of the line that had been left over before they call you up to essentially this inner portion of the gate where you approach this 90-foot wall at the base, and you can just feel how imposing and large this structure is. And you approach the gate, and the large iron barred gate is currently raised, and inside it's about a 30-foot long sort of tunnel through the stone walls of the gate. And there seems to be various counters set up with guards standing behind them, and they wave you forward to one of them. And the first person, names?
Runin, Kravar.
Yorglot Grimwald.
And the Fierce.
Fuyu.
Rena, bear.
Rain the bear. Okay.
Arthur Hastings.
Arthur Hastings. Perfect. Let's see. And then Eris would introduce herself as well. Eris familiar. And would count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That will be 1 silver and 4 copper.
Rennie just pays it.
Appreciate it. If you go ahead and pull forward your carriage to the next person in line at the counter, he will process your entry fees and grant you identification. If you lose your identification, it is important that you come back to get a new one as soon as possible.
All right. Are they like little tablets?
Then you are going to get it from the next person. You'll see it then.
Oh, okay.
Pull forward. Welcome to Viern. Just a moment. I'm still waiting on our mages to fabricate what you need. About 30 seconds go by. She comes back and she brings out like hexagonal sticks of what appear to be lead that have your names inscribed into them. These are your identification symbols. If you are ever caught without one, it is a penalty of up to 10 silver. I suggest you keep it on your person at all times. If you lose one, a replacement costs 2 copper. Much cheaper to replace it than to get caught without it.
Thank you. Rennie just gets all of them and then passes it to everyone.
As an aside, not that I worry about you, seeing as this is quite the carriage you have, but if you cannot pay the fine of 10 silver, you will be forced to do a week's worth of hard community service.
Duly noted.
Please enjoy your time in the town, and if you have any questions, there's one more person ahead that can answer any questions you might have.
All right. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. And you pull forward again, and you notice they're about 10 feet apart, so that they can kind of make the process of entry a little bit more easy for people coming in and going out of the town. And you see that your side that you're approaching on, you're on the left, it seems to handle all of the entrance, and then the side on the right only has one person sitting at a counter, and it seems like that would be the side people exit from. But currently nobody is exiting, as it's about to turn nightfall, and the wilderness in this world can get quite dangerous for average travelers at night.
All right. We approach the last person.
Okay. Well, if you have any questions, I'm here to answer. What can I do for you?
Well, this is our first time here. Are there any rules we need to know, as well as possibly some directions to some inns?
Very well. It's going to be a lengthy answer. Rules. Let's see here. He kind of looks to you that has asked. I see you have some books on you. You might want to write these down.
She starts writing it down.
Obviously, we have the rules. No stealing, no fighting, no murder, things of the nature. There are some exceptions, such as tournaments or things that we might host, but you need proper approval from the city to have any fighting tournaments or exhibitions. Street brawling is not permitted, and tavern brawls, well, less severely punished, still are subject to a fine. So I suggest any violence you try to refrain from as best you can. If you're proven to have acted in self-defense or on the behalf of somebody for defense of their person, you'll be exempted, but if you're found to be the aggressor, you will face the full extent of the law.
Okay. All right.
We, as a town, founded and established by the multitude of ascendants that we have here in town with us, feel that it is imperative we keep it open to all walks of life, no matter how different from you they are. As such, we have various different religious establishments, regardless of your purview on the different religious establishments. Defamatory remarks or things such as graffiti or defamation of their property are not handled lightly.
She's just like jotting down these notes.
And he continues for a bit. Essentially, if there's an alarm bell going off, everyone's to be in their house no later than 10 o'clock at that night.
Okay.
Suspicious people found if there's an alarm going off after 10 will be detained and arrested until they can be questioned.
Okay.
The Ascendant's essentially district, and you'll know, he kind of describes that it's, if you can imagine unnecessarily fancy, large, and audacious houses, theirs are even more so than that. And it'll be impossible to miss, but you are not welcome to enter that portion of town. It is gated without permission or an invitation from one of the Ascendants. Well, they won't be the ones punishing you, an Ascendant likely will, and as such, it's best you treat it as if it were a rule of the town.
Okay.
Other than that, he just kind of wraps up. The rest are pretty normal, minor.
Okay. All right. Then, directions to an inn.
He kind of just points in every direction.
All right, the nearest inn.
The nearest one is the first building on your left,
All right.
but if that's not to your liking, I think you'll find quickly enough, this being your first time into town, this is a very large place, very easy to get lost, but also because of that, you'll find what you're looking for eventually if you don't find what you want right away.
All right. Thank you very much. Does anyone else have questions? She looks to everyone in the party.
Nope.
All right. Then off we go.
And Ember would begin pulling the carriage forward again, just slightly out front of the gate and kind of off to the side. So, what kind of tavern is everybody thinking of staying in? I personally want to stay in the nicest one I can afford.
Well, the reason why I was asking for the nearest tavern is we could at least ask them for more information about other taverns if they wanted to, or
That doesn't sound like they would be smart to do so.
we could go back and ask him.
Well, no, that's fine. I mean, I can ask merchants if they're still open or people that we see. But it's just, you walk into a tavern, hello, where are the other taverns? It doesn't sound like a question I would answer.
Reading kind of like opens and closes her mouth. Fair point.
I don't care. I'm just gonna go to one that's cheap and comfortable.
I honestly don't believe there being a problem with going a little bit more, as it's been a while since we had a comfortable place.
I think it's wherever anyone is most comfortable then. There's no rule that says that when we are here for a night, is that we have to all stay in the same place. Perhaps if we're going to be here for a while, we can discuss it tomorrow, but for now, what if we find what we want?
Right. Either way, let's just go relax. Been on the road too long.
All right. Well, we could ask the first tavern to see if they even have rooms, as it's the first one. I imagine it could be booked.
Make your way over to it. It seems like a fairly unassuming four-story tavern. Just typical wooden walls with glass windows on it, fairly well in repair, but nothing extravagant. You can hear some cheering, some laughter, some faint music being played from within the doors, and there's some like firelight from torches, campfires, and candles and the like kind of glowing through the windows as they've already begun to prepare for sunset, post sunset, when it starts to get dark. And you make your way up, open it up, and as you see inside, there seems to be about a good number, 40, 50 people of all sorts of different adventuring sort of walks of life or merchants, things of the nature. It seems like travelers that don't have a preference or are just using it as like a pit stop are quite common here. And behind the tavern, you see an Aarakocra male just kind of standing there, polishing a glass by holding a napkin between some of his feathers.
Hello. You can go.
Excuse me. You guys have rooms open.
How many would you like? We have 3 remaining.
What are the sizes?
One is just 1 bed, and then we have 2 beds remaining. That's it.
I think that's a bit small for us, actually. Sorry.
Hmm.
No worries. Well, if you need more space, you can always try a little bit down the main road here. Since we don't have any space, happy to point you in the right direction for something a bit more roomy. There are some taverns down there that are more hospitable for larger parties.
Appreciate the info.
Of course,
You have a good evening.
Alright.
you as well.
And we head to there.
All right.
How packed are the streets?
They don't seem super packed at this time of day. People have started to make their way home, but there's still a good number of people that seem to be making their way to a tavern after work or making their way home after work. And some people who have already finished having a dinner at the tavern are making their way home for the evening. So, well, not packed. You're still able to very comfortably pull a carriage through the town. It is definitely busier than any other town you've been in for the most part, with maybe exception to Antier when you first arrived.
Alright. Alright then.
Yep. Go to the tavern. Head in.
Right?
I imagine there's several.
There are many. You kind of get to a point where it seems like it's more of like a whole city block that's just inns, taverns, restaurants, things of the nature. A very touristy market where those that don't have permanent lodgings can find anything that they need. And as you're kind of walking through, the prices do seem to kind of reflect that as well. They're a little bit more higher because of the convenience of everything being so close by, and it seems like they're capitalizing on that a little bit. But it's not egregious. Before you make your way to an average looking one, seeing as that's what Yorglot is currently looking for, and he easily enough can pick one out. And as you make your way in, one thing you notice is, well, it's not as many stories high, it is much wider. It seems to span about 700 feet sideways and maybe 300 feet long.
Oh.
And so it does look like it has an overall more amount of space, but at least from the entrance, the sort of dining area, the counter, everything is much more spacious and open. So potentially has more room for a party. There's people in there drinking, gambling.
Alright.
Head inside. Go talk to the innkeeper.
This one seems to be run by sort of like a white-haired, gnomish old woman. It's just kind of sitting behind the tavern. Welcome. What can I do for you?
Do you have space for 7?
Indeed, we do. Would you like a regular room? Would you like one of our fancier rooms?
I can just take a single bedroom. The rest of the group can decide what they want.
Ember kind of bows and turns and starts leaving.
Oh, starts leaving.
Huh?
Hmm.
I was gonna
What are
ask,
you going about?
I already told you what I wanted. This should not be a surprise.
you're gonna go.
So there's one that looks like it's a little bit down the street that I suppose it looks very fancy. I'm going to go check it out.
All right. I'll take care of the carriage. Renian's just gonna go out and start getting the carriage then. Because we can't use Ember out in the open.
Fair enough. Well, the rest of you, what can I get for you? 1-bedroom rooms? Would you like a large, room to share amongst the rest of you?
I'll get a single room. Although, if it's okay, I'd like to do my transaction separate.
It's entirely fine with me. I don't mind.
The others?
Do you have a tree? Tree.
No. This is a building.
Bush?
I know that there is an elven one down the road that is built with a tree in the center of it.
He's gonna get up and leave.
We're all gonna be separating in different taverns. What does Arthur do?
He just looks over and just like, oh, you don't have to buy me a room. I don't really sleep, so you don't have to. And I don't really see the need of using one.
All right. So 2 rooms. How many nights?
One. For me.
Iris, I guess, would stay here as well. 1 night? Okay. For you?
Is there any way to make it flexible? Like if I sign up for multiple nights, can I come back to you if I change my mind?
Well, you just pay for the nights you stay, and if you stay in the room, then I charge you for more.
Okay. Then I'll just sign up for 1 night too, I guess.
All right. Okay. Guess just for expediency's sake, Iris does the same. All right. There's a silver piece each for 1 night.
Yuma
Thank you.
puts down the silver.
You're very welcome. She goes and grabs you some keys that have like a room number on them. Since you all got rooms at the same times, they seem to be relatively close to each other, at least based off of number. You seem to have numbers 56, 57, and 58. So you go check your rooms. They're comfortable, but very simple. You have a bed, some candlelight, a torch, table, a wash basin that it looks like you could fill with water, but it doesn't seem to have water in it already. Not a whole lot. It has a footlocker. It's about it, but it's looks well made. The sheeting looks fresh and nice. Same with the mattress.
Okay, we'll get settled in. Probably read a bit before bed.
All right. As the rest of you who either were going to go do something else or were not happy with the selection here, Ember is just waiting outside, kind of like leaning up against the carriage, kind of just seeing if anybody else comes out looking for more.
Oi.
Not to your taste.
Well, it was more. I was going to take the carriage to a stable, but to be honest, I kind of would like to go for more fancy, kind of like a treat.
All right. Well, you're welcome to join me if you wish. And as we're kind of talking, Brena heads out next, followed by, I assume, Arthur, or did you just follow them? Because you don't need a room, but what are you doing?
He's just following Vanina and Ember, whatever they're doing.
Well, you'd have followed Reyna out. She
Oh,
left
then yes.
right before you.
Then he'll be following Reyna, yeah.
You two would exit, and you'd see Reyna and Ember just sitting next to the carriage out front. Not to your liking either.
No, not really.
Rennie looks to Reyna. And you?
I want tree.
Very well. What are you looking for, Arthur? What is it that you're hoping to find?
Well, I just really want a quiet place, really. I don't really need to sleep. I'm awake for all the day. I don't sleep, so I don't think I would necessarily need one.
Fair enough. Then shall we find Reyna a place with a tree first?
Sure.
Yes.
All right. Do we want to deal with the carriage first or second? How much longer do we have on the elks, Reyna?
They're probably going to go soon, but if anything, she points to her horse. I have my horse. It'll be slower, but it will do.
But
I imagine a phantom steed can.
how long do we have on the horse, Reyna? Or the elk? And you would know, like, maybe 40 minutes left.
8 hours.
Yeah, and you've used them for most of the day, so you'd have like 40 minutes left at this point.
Okay. Then we should deal with
But-
the carriage first.
I'm trying.
Oh,
She-
sorry.
She doesn't know time, so she says soon.
Okay.
Perfect.
Well, then if we don't have a whole lot more time, then let's go ahead and get that taken care of so that we can give the elks a rest, and then we can go for a walk to find you a tree in the city. Does that sound good?
Not.
All right. Then time to find a stable.
Easy enough. I'll say for expediency's sake. You look around for a stable, and like I said, everything in this area, for convenience sake, seems well supplied, and like there's a little bit of everything that you're looking for. So not too long down the road, you do see a stable that's large enough that it seems to be able to accommodate most, if not all, of the taverns and other inns in the area here.
Okay.
There's a couple others that are open that seem to be a little bit smaller and potentially cheaper as well, but this one seems to be the nicest, so it's up to you.
Gonna go for the nicest. Because we have so much money. Yeah. It's a nice carriage.
Okay.
How much gold? Or how much will it cost?
He's going to charge silver and a half per day if he needs to tend to animals, or a silver per day if it's just for the carriage.
I don't have any silver nor gold, so I'm just going to give him.
Ember would pull out a gold.
Okay. Renee is like about to reach and is like, I don't have. Okay.
As you if she starts seeing you reaching for platinum, she's like, nope, we're paying with gold.
All right.
But she'd get it for a day, because at this point, that's what everyone else is purchasing.
Yeah. I will just like to know just the name of the stable, or at least you could just say what building it looks like.
The fanciest stable near the hotels for now.
Yeah, that works. All right, then we're gonna look for a tree.
Ember would kind of look to Reyna. Did you have an idea of where you wanted to look?
She points to the direction where the innkeeper told her.
All right. Go ahead and lead us away. We shall follow you.
She like starts sniffing the air and start walking that direction.
Sure. For fun, go ahead and make a perception check.
Yes. $11.
There's a lot of different smells in the capital. You're having troubles picking out like trees or anything super elven. But as you make your way down the street, eventually you do get close enough to where, you're basically right in front of the building at this point. But you do start to smell very floral scented, like it almost smells like floral scented candles or things of the nature. It smells very foresty, very wildernessy, and you kind of take a look at the building, and it is again a very large wooden building. This one more tall than it is wide, about 5 stories tall. But it has like moss growing on the outer portion of the wall, but in a very aesthetically pleasing way, almost as if it's been shaped and designed to look the way it is. And there's, as compared to like boards for the steps, it's just like half cut logs that are placed next to each other leading up the front steps. And the handrails have moss on them as well to kind of give them some cushion. Very natural and very peaceful in that regard. And you make your way inside and take a look around. There's definitely a very large number of elves. There's also a couple sort of like, not really like cat Sheena. They look a little bit different in that they're full cat, so tabaxi, if Raina would know that what that is, but they're full on cats. See a couple Leonin, a couple other races that might be a little bit more nature oriented. And behind the counter, you see a young elven woman wearing a very simple but elegant white dress that's just kind of standing there. She has her hair kind of braided into like a crown almost. Amber would look to Rena. So does this look like what you want? And as you look around as well, you'd see that in the center it's not a huge tree, but there is a tree that the stairs are built around. And then there are rooms above you on like the outer side that like look down into the courtyard essentially where this tree is at.
Rena's not gonna say anything to anyone, and she's gonna walk towards the tree, and then she's gonna start climbing it.
Miss, the elf would call out from behind the counter. We'd prefer it if you don't. I understand the tree is very pretty. We'd prefer you don't climb it.
So it's looking sad, and she starts slowly unclimbing, like getting down onto the ground.
Thank you. If you'd like to purchase a room, I don't mind, but if you want to sleep in the tree or climb the tree, but at least not until you have paid.
He like walks over, and then
How much is a room?
You'd be looking at 2 silver, 5 copper a day for a single room, but are all of you staying here? If so, we have bigger rooms available.
She
she's
would
gonna
like to stay here.
yeah,
Sorry.
she's gonna so two silver and 5 copper.
Correct.
The currency is by tens.
Did she just give her 4 silver? Is that still?
Oh, very generous of you. Would you like anything to eat?
Fish?
Perfect.
Points there.
And some for him as well. Of course.
She nods.
She hands you a key, and she says, "With your room, it's the 3rd floor, fourth door on the right. However, like I said, I don't mind now that you've paid if you want to sleep in the tree. If you do, we will have somebody bring you the fish into the tree."
This is cool.
Climbs the tree.
Wonderful. As you walk over to climb the tree, Ember would walk over and kind of, Verena, I don't think that I'm going to be staying here, and I'm sure you'll be fine, but I just want to make sure no, and she'd kind of lower her voice to a whisper, no boom booms here, right?
She looks down on the ground. Then she nods.
I'm
I'm
gonna
glad.
try and Arthur's just gonna approach her and just try and cheer her up and say, "It may be boom booms later."
Starts smiling.
Renine was
She's a-
about to hit pat Reyna until she heard Arthur say that.
She then grabs his hand. Wait, can she?
Yeah, he's physical right now. He's in his physical form.
And then he shakes his hand for like agreement.
Oh
Now, at this point, his face kind of jobs. At first, he just wanted to say it to make her feel better. He actually didn't like mean to promise it, but now that she shook at his hand, he's like, "Oh no."
It's okay, Renine. I will take them out of the town for some fun if she wants to use some of her toys.
Like, promise.
He then proceeds to finally head pat Reyna. All right, well, be good, okay? We'll see you in the morning.
Also,
Fun.
I know that you love Bear, and I love him too, but there are going to be people sleeping, so can we not have him roar today?
Looks at Bear and like,
He'd kind of and nod his head.
she's yeah. He like she sticks his finger out and like points at him, like, don't do that.
But he nods, cuddles up next to you, then proceeds to climb the tree with you.
Renine kind of just like watches until she finally settles in the tree. I feel like leaving alone is probably a bad idea, but I'm going to trust it once to see how this works.
Ember,
I
being
mean-
a little bit more free spirit, would be like, it's okay. Sometimes they need a little bit of freedom to see how things go.
I hope you're right. And she walks out and kind of like gives a nod to the tavern keep. Thank you.
So,
Off we go, I guess.
yep. The other three leave. Ember, Arthur, and Renine. Make your way out, and Ember would again. Well, I'm looking for something extraordinarily extravagant. You're welcome to come with me. I'm sure it would be quiet. But if extremely fancy is not to your taste, I understand.
Usually not, but I'd like to treat myself this time, so I will suck it up.
And you, Arthur?
Well, I'll take a look. I'll come with to see what it's like.
She'd kind of walk along, pass by a couple that you thought looked extremely fancy, but she just kind of walks past them, not quite satisfied with what she's found, before eventually you see a very, like, kind of like on the edge of this section of hotels, right before you kind of get back into residential or just markets or crafting areas, you see a very tall marble building that is ornately carved, that sort of has like a entryway with a overhang that's above it. Door is very intricately designed, has sort of like what looks to be semi-golden handle. You can't tell if it's real gold or not from here. Denver, well, it's about time.
Well, oh. Vernian kind of just like stares at it agape with her mouth agape. You weren't kidding. Okay.
Again, if it was not to your liking, you have no obligation to stay with me. But this is what I am at least going to take a look in. Care to come inside?
She, without saying anything, just kind of absentmindedly just starts walking over. It's like
It's like, what?
it's like she's like just hears the voice and is just following Ember as she's just staring at the building.
Sartha follow?
Yeah, he follows. He isn't as shocked. But yeah, he follows.
Making our way inside, you very quickly see that there are very few people in here, maybe about 5 or 10 that seem to be staying, but they seem to have a open bar with several drinks set out on the shelves, with a bartender that's wearing a very nice overcoat that has a couple two tails on the backside, tie kind of neatly tucked under the collar of his shirt. See what appears to be a tavern keep or somebody who is working the counter currently, but very similarly dressed to the bartender, as well as there's a small stage where there's currently some music being played, as well as just some tables for reading, for eating or drinking, and the sections that are more towards like the stairs where the rooms are seem to be a little bit more spaced out and private, where the sections more towards the stage seem a little bit closer together for people that wish to listen to the music that's currently being played. She walks up to the counter. Hello, I would like your nicest room for a night. And she'd wait a moment before they look up from their sort of like book. Ah, yes. One room, or would you like more than one? The nicest one can easily accommodate a good number of people, but if you want it to yourself, that's fine. She'd kind of look to the group before looking back. Well, how much is it for one night? Not that that's a problem, but potentially we'll get more than one if we like the cost. To which she would answer back 2 platinum pieces a night. Well, perfect, I will take that one. And she'd pull out 2 platinum pieces. Would you two like to stay with me, get your own rooms, or go somewhere else?
How big of a room is it? How much can fit in one room? She kind of like catches herself.
All 3 of you will fit comfortably. It's normally reserved for VIP guests who have butlers, servants, maids, or people traveling with them of the like. So it can normally fit about 15 people comfortably. But, we don't care who our VIP guests are as long as they pay.
I'll just I'll just room with you, Ember.
Very well. And how about you, Arthur?
Um, well, if you don't mind, yeah, I would, I'd rather stick with someone than be by myself.
All right. Well, then it looks like one room. And I only know that I'm going to be here for a day, but if I were to want to stay for longer, would I have to make a longer reservation? Or could I let you know tomorrow, just as long as it's before somebody else wants the room? To which she'd let them know that if somebody booked it after the morning time, before Ember had a chance to confirm whether she was staying that night or not, she would lose it. So Ember would pay for a week in advance just to be safe. So I'll mark off 14 platinum. And then everybody makes their way into the rooms for the night, takes their long rests, relaxes, finishes everything up. Before the next morning, everybody would wake up. Kind of right as everyone's normally used to gathering around, Ember would rouse Renine and Arthur, get them to wake up and, well, get Renine to wake up and get Arthur ready to go. Make their way over to pick up Reyna if she was still in the tavern, which that's up to you.
Yeah, she's still in the tavern, like in the tree, snoring, and Bear's snoring.
They don't seem to mind. Very natural, and they don't really think anything's wrong with snoring. So, if anything, a couple of people that are climbing the stairs that circle the tree kind of just look over as they pass you and just kind of smile because they see a cute kid cuddling up with her bear, both passed out, snoring on the tree. Before you'd hear from the bottom of the tree, Ember kind of call up, Reyna, are you awake?
She like wakes herself up and she falls out of the tree.
Renine tries to catch her.
Okay, go ahead and make a dexterity saving throw, each of you.
Each.
Wait, me?
Yeah, you're falling out of a 30-foot tree. I figured you're up at your floor that you paid for.
25.
13.
Nice.
Okay,
She doesn't
you
know
start
how.
falling out of the tree, Reyna, and as you do, Bear just kind of like half asleep, but having that protective instinct, just like with a big old paw, just grabs the collar of like your shirt and just holds on to you.
Oh, oh, Reina, don't fall from that height.
Reyna and Bear, they climb down and she like head pats Bear, thanking him.
Is this in the morning, by the way?
Yes.
Ah, yeah, just don't question it, but he's 8'2" now.
Oh, it's one of those days. Okay.
Yeah, first day Arthur is 8'2".
Oh well then there should. Renine would have questioned it right off the bat.
She's still half asleep. Everyone's half asleep. They haven't noticed yet. They're just looking. They haven't looked at him yet, but they've heard him speak.
The tavern keep, the elf in the white dress, kind of walks up. Weren't you shorter yesterday? To which now everyone in the party actually realizes.
Reyna like rubs her eyes, like thinking she's half asleep, and she's like, "You grew?"
He just nods his head without saying anything.
Why are you so tall? I actually have to look up.
Just a miscalculation.
Is this going to be permanent?
Oh, no. It's just a temporary thing. And he
A
kind of
day?
awkwardly gives people head pats, just like, oh, that's how it feels.
Ember would kind of.
Renine would have like the most like conflicted look. It's like I I don't know how to feel about this.
Ember would kind of like awkwardly like scrunch her head a little bit, like, same. It is odd, especially coming from you. But thank you, I guess. Shall we go get the others?
Yes.
Wonderful. And they'd walk over, and is Yorgolat, Yuma, and Eris still in that tavern?
Yeah.
You would see Yuma walking out of the tavern.
Good
Um,
morning.
Oh,
Good
hello.
morning.
Morning.
And then we have a giant behind us.
Yuma's kind of intimidated. So, what you guys up to?
Well, I think the first plan is to at least gather as a group and see what our plans for the day are. Um, I'm sure we have our business that we need to take care of today, but if you would like to at least grab breakfast and chat while we wait, well, that is fine with me. Some of our other party members can be heavy sleepers.
I see that. I didn't know if I didn't see. What is his name? Yorglot, right?
Well, was he in
And
the breakfast area or is he still asleep?
Neither. He's just in his room.
Okay.
I did not see Yorglot or Eris this morning yet. Have you guys already had breakfast? Or are you planning to eat it here?
Figured as much as I want to eat in the other tavern, it's easier to talk over breakfast at the tables than it is to talk in the middle of a street. So,
Yeah. I do have a question for Yorglot, because he didn't truly answer me the other day, but
well, that is normal. Good luck getting answers.
Hey.
But
Well, I guess it's really a question for your group. I mean, but we can talk over it through breakfast or during breakfast. I mean,
I was about to say, are you sure you wish to talk during out in the open on the street? To which our people are probably slowly gathering now
yeah,
because it's
people are
morning.
coming in and out. I would, well, let's just go get the table. I'm sure that they at least allow people to walk in for the restaurant portion of things. At least that's pretty much normally how it goes with these sorts of things. So we can wait there and see how long it takes for the others to rouse from their slumber or whatever it is they're doing.
All right. Then let's head on in. And we just go into the. I imagine that we know your rooms. Maybe.
Yeah, they handed the key in front with the number on them, so we would have been able to see that. Well,
Okay.
no, Arthur and Reyna would have. Ember would not have because she left early, and I think Renine left
Yeah.
right as it was happening.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go to Yorglot's room,
All right.
and she's gonna. Should I do this?
What?
She's
Your
gonna.
mic cut off.
She's gonna. I'm trying to think if I want to actually do this. She's gonna slam through the door.
Is the door locked, first off?
Yeah.
So you go to slam through the door and just thud, and the door's shut.
Okay, you hear the thud.
Yoga would quickly get up. He was reading, doing morning reading, and he would quickly get up and uh, uh, who is it?
Bug.
And he'll put his hand down that he was about to blast through the fucking door. Unlock it and open it. What is it, Raina?
What you doing?
Reading. What are you doing?
Is the party behind her?
I'll say at the very least, Ember followed.
Ah. More of you.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
Does
Morning.
Rena have like? Does Rena have like a red dot on her forehead?
Yes.
Okay.
Her whole head is red. Because she's slammed in her face.
Okay. But
Oh.
we were hoping to talk and just see what our plans for the day were. Perhaps
Right.
over breakfast.
Sure. Like, give me a minute. Close his door and grab his things. He's not planning to stay any more than tonight.
All right. Very well. They Ember would just wait outside. Does anyone go try to get Eris?
Bernine's staying at the table in front of the inn. So
Did Arthur stay with Renine, or did Arthur follow with Reyna and Ember?
He would stay with Vanine.
I imagine Yuma stayed as well. Or did he
At
follow?
the tavern? Or
At the table with Renine and Renine
Yeah.
and Arthur, or following Reyna and Ember to go bug Yorklot?
He stayed at the table with
Right.
Renine.
who gets Eris?
Well, if nobody does, by the time Yorklot's done, Ember will just. Do you know where Eris is staying?
I believe she was my neighbor. Oh, wait.
You're not there.
Yeah.
Reyna, did you happen to see? You saw where he was staying.
He nods, and then she Mm, trying to think. She doesn't know how to count. Wait, does she? I think she does.
I would say even if you don't necessarily, even if you're not like the best at counting, you saw the numbers, so you can match the symbols.
She just grabs out chalk and she writes down the symbol and she points towards it.
Thank you. That is helpful. And she'd just go knock on the door and get Eris to come join for breakfast. Meet back up with everybody at the table once everyone is ready.
Yeah.
How does the tavern look? How many patrons are there?
There's a couple. It's not particularly busy yet, but it is at least not at the very least not entirely empty. But there are some tables that have some good distance from everybody where you can have a conversation that's not meant to be public.
Yeah.
It's also, it's typical tavern manners to not eavesdrop. So, being that this is a very typical tavern that looks like it would cater to adventurers and people of the like, they prefer their space a lot of the time. So it's kind of designed with that in mind.
Okay. All right. Well, I suppose we should talk about what we are doing. And
Indeed.
she kind of looks to Yuma, but then looks to everyone at the table. I imagine we're going to be staying here for a little bit.
Yeah, well, some shopping for one, restocking on supplies.
Well, I imagine we're going to be visiting our friend first.
Right.
Well, before we get too far into that, since that's something that I know that we can't share too openly, not even with some of us that have been here for a while longer. How about we talk about what we can talk about in present company first? Yuma, what are you going to be doing here?
Hmm. Well, probably just trying to start up as an adventurer, I guess.
I see. And do you have any plans on how you're going to do that?
Probably do some questing. I don't know if you guys are into that type of thing.
Yes. Generally, it's what we do.
We are adventurers after all.
Well, I'm gonna be probably staying at this tavern for a while, doing just little jobs here and there. You're welcome to join me if you want. After, of course, you do that thing that you're here for.
Um, uh, Out of character knowledge, are there adventure guilds, or is that not a thing in this world? Is it more just guards posting quests and all that?
Up until this point, it does not seem like it has been. But this capital also seems like it is a whole different beast in and of itself in terms of what you may or may not expect. But you can gather at the very least this tavern is currently offering like a bulletin board of quests and such.
All right. Well, if you're looking for quests, it won't hurt to ask around. Obviously, I could see that there is a little board over there with papers that are probably requesting adventures. Might not be bad to see if there are other places that request adventures, especially if you're just starting out.
Yeah, I plan to start small, and maybe work my way up to multiple day long quests. But
And that is perfectly fine. It would be better to start out safe. So, wise choice.
Indeed. And
anyway, sorry.
well, I know that we have some shopping that we are going to do, but I know you're just starting out as an adventurer. But are you okay with, what you have? She's like looking for a weapon or anything. Do you need some
Uh,
help?
he kind of like sits back a little bit and like puts his hand up to his chest. I may not look it, but I am very capable.
Without a weapon, do you use your fists?
Whoever said I was without a weapon?
I
Uh,
think that would be the normal assumption.
Ah, yes. Sorry, forgot that. And he kind of like stands up. Well, not stands up. He just holds out his hand, and you guys kind of see a like blue kind of like fog start to like come from his hand, and eventually like it starts to erupt into like a blue glow, and then it then erupts, and then you see this great sword just appear, blade facing down into like the floor of the tavern to not be aggressive.
Dang, I was expecting like the weeb thing of like I pull out a sword from my hand.
Well, that's basically what happened. Just appeared into his hand from thin air.
Yeah. More or less.
Well then, you do have a weapon.
Yes, I do. And then he kind of just like lets go of it, and then it just disappears in the fog again.
Unique. Haven't seen that yet.
Well, no, I was also talking about more than just weapons as well. Do you have, do you have potions with you? Do you have just things to
Well,
keep you alive in harsher climate? Like, are you don't seem like your apologies
I'll
too well packed up for this.
I'll definitely have to get at least potions, but other than that, I have all the necessities in my room.
All right. Well, I know that I'm probably going to be busy today. Um, but if I have time tomorrow, if you want to, and she described the inn that she's staying at, you're more than welcome to come by, and at the very least, I can see if I can help you get enough to earn a potion or something. Not that I would go so far as to say we're friends yet, and she kind of gives him a very, like, stern look when she does, but at the very least, you are an acquaintance, and it would not do well if, at least for my personal health, if something were to happen to you and it were because you were ill prepared for whatever it was you were doing.
Well, any help would be greatly appreciated, but if you ever need me, you know where to find me. Um,
Of course.
like I said, I'll be staying here at this tavern until otherwise, uh, something happens. Um, but I did have a question for you all. And he kind of like looks around to the rest of the tavern and just like kind of gets down low to the table. You never really told me why you were so interested in my story about that legendary dragon, and more so his daughter.
Amber would wait a second and see if anyone else tries to talk before speaking.
Well, like I said, it was more interesting story that I've ever heard of. It's not every day you hear a dragon dying, let alone somebody who's met the daughter of a dead ancient dragon and seen its skeleton.
Mm.
I don't think that's a very regular occurrence.
I'll say at this
I guess
point, go ahead and
not.
make a deception check to see if you can beat his passive insight.
Damn, I ain't lying.
No, you're not per se, but it's whether or not he can discern whether or not you're hiding something.
22.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that beats it.
Yeah. He's not actively lying to you, so I'm not even going to let you roll against it. It's more just like, was the omission smooth enough?
I guess not. I guess I was so sheltered in my village. Guess that just seemed a little odd to be asking so many questions about one subject.
Hmm.
Unless you're trying to learn something, of course.
Well, I mean, I don't think it is wrong to say that we were trying to learn. It was very fascinating. You hear rumors of all sorts of things. I'm sure you've heard rumors about the capital. And so when you hear somebody has an interesting story to tell, you want to learn. You want to be able to have that knowledge for later.
Yeah.
If
I
it
guess
makes
you're
you
right.
uncomfortable, we won't ask you more questions about it.
No, it's fine. You seem like a very nice and understanding type of group, so it's not necessarily uncomfortable. If you were just asking me every little detail about what happened, and kind of forcing me to talk, then that would be another story. But you're not.
Perfect. Well, I believe we have some things to discuss a bit more privately, if you don't mind, Yuma.
No, not at all. Like I said, I will be here whenever you guys plan to stop by for any reason, or like I said, take me up on that offer for doing a little bit of adventures.
There's some of us would be glad to.
And Yuma
Ah.
kind of like stands up and um, goes to like a different table in the tavern.
How far away?
Far enough to where he wouldn't be able to hear you, because he wants to respect your privacy.
As soon as he leaves, everyone just starts talking trash about him.
You start walking and you just suddenly start sneezing every like 2 steps. And it's just like, these allergies today, there's something terrible. But
The moment he leaves, Jarl goes,
Okay, so can anyone explain to me why Arthur is 7 times the size he normally is?
That's what I would like to know, but he said that something failed, and now he's this.
Were
She
you
looks to
testing
Arthur.
things, Arthur?
Yeah. This shouldn't be
You have to
permanent though.
really
But
look up.
yeah, you have to really like
well, you and Renee not so
look
much,
up.
or Yorklad and Renee not so much. It's 2 feet, but
2 feet. It's still something.
we're also sitting now. It's not that big of a deal.
Mhm. To make it more easy, he's kind of like slouched down, like his legs are like outstretched, so he's like eye level to people's like heads and shoulders, like he's really slouched down, just so.
I mean, he has to go through doors too.
anyhow.
But yeah, this shouldn't be permanent. It was just a potion gone bad, but yeah, it feels kind of good to be like this. But I no longer have to look up at people. I can see how it's very handy for you, Renine.
Uh, being the tallest,
Hmm.
I will just say this right now. Try not to do what you did to me, Ember, and Reina to your blood.
Oh,
Not a good
yeah,
idea.
yeah.
What?
Ember just kind of like reaches over, and if Reina's next to her, like pats Reina's head. Kind of like while looking at Yorglot, trying to hint at what she's talking about.
He's looking so confused.
Yeah, that's a quick way to lose a hand. Anyways,
Before we get too far into the conversation, I know you said that we will learn in Viern. Does this mean we get to know now or after whatever this meeting with your friend is?
you'll learn in the meeting.
Are we sure we
Alright.
don't want to say it now? Or is it just because you don't want to repeat yourself?
No, because I don't want to say it now.
I guess that's fair. We're not in a very secure location.
Alright,
And
well,
I guarantee you our friend already knows about these two anyways, so.
alright, well, come on, Arthur. We'll go chat with Yuma a bit more for a bit.
As they're walking away, he's gonna be like, "Oh, if there's gonna be a meeting, should we bring snacks for everyone?
Sure.
Maybe some drinks."
Honestly,
Wait,
I
wait,
feel
wait.
like our friend would find that very entertaining, so go ahead.
Wait. Are they leaving the table?
Yeah,
Why?
so that you can talk about the shit you can't talk about in front of them?
We're gonna talk about Nomura. Ding, 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 ding.
Okay. I don't see why we have to exclude them, but okay.
We've been
Anyhow.
excluded the whole time.
Uh,
Right.
Ember and Arthur would walk over to Yuma's table But do you mind if we have a seat? They're talking about some stuff. You see, we haven't been with the party as long as the rest of them have either, so we're not exactly
yeah.
privy to this either.
Mhm.
Hey, more the merrier. Take a seat.
They just start chatting it up with Yuma, waiting for their food, eating. Well, you all have your conversation. So, what are you talking about?
I just want to remind that Reyna does not have the thingy, the blood thingy from Dry Deer.
Very true. Ember does not know this, though.
Who?
Reyna.
Because she was not there during the events that were happening in the town.
Yeah, she doesn't have the blood contract of 6 months from Dry Deer. So, if anything, we should have been having tingling sensations this whole entire time by saying Nemora's name around Reyna.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've ever really discussed what happened in Mishla with Reyna, though, because that was specifically the stuff that happened in Mishla. Reyna knows
But
of
saying
Namora
their
and all that
names.
stuff. No,
N-
she knows of Namora and stuff like that.
She was with the meeting with Caleb,
Yeah.
I guess that's fair.
so she's been included at least into that much.
Okay. All right.
We've never been like, hey, there was a big sacrifice in Mishla to her.
Yes, that would ting for her, and that's why you haven't gotten the ting talking around her. But
That's fair.
she does know of the other two.
Okay. I just remembered that, and I was like, yeah, that's a thing. All right. What do you want to discuss?
Well, when we're wanting to do this and go talk,
I suppose it'd be better now rather than later.
I agree. I imagine whatever her talk is going to consist of, it's gonna involve our next quest into this.
Well, to be frank, well, obviously not include Yuma, but the other two have to come with us for our friend. But aside from that, the question is, how do we talk with her? Because from the guard, it sounded like it's not that easy to just walk up to the gates and request an audience.
I don't know. I'm sure some kind of way is open for us. Or
Do you
at
want to
least
test that?
something we have to figure it out. I don't know if an ascendant allows your entrance somewhere. Pretty sure nobody's gonna bat an eye to it.
That is true.
And the other thing we have to talk about is when we want to go and learn about the Arcadian Dragon Temple.
Aye.
Because we
Well,
also have that contract we have to fulfill.
well, Ember and Arthur know about that one. Um,
They were
alright.
we all got entranced during that one, right?
What?
Yeah, everybody was there except for Yuma, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
He's just
I.
talking about it now because Yuma's gone and it's convenient right now.
Well,
And
do you
figuring
want
out
to do that
information.
late? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Do we want to do that all in one day? Or do we want to first do friend and then, while I imagine that we're going to be here for a little while, in case something is requested of us from our friend.
This
But
is just me as DM knowing Eris. I imagine she would chime in at some point here and be like, I want to go see her.
Yep, that would be Eris.
I just Knowing Gothra, I feel like that is how she would want to play this right now. Is she would want to go see her.
I want to go see my mommy. So, imagine her saying,
Yeah.
Arthur in the background just goes like, "Wait, that's her mum?"
You can't hear.
What?
No.
yeah. Unless she says it in a really loud voice, which she could.
No.
But
I agree. We do go. We go see her friend first, and then, if we still have time today, we can go to the Arcadian Dragon Temple. But if not, tomorrow.
well, we can always acquire information. I imagine that it wouldn't be too hard to ask, or even ask our friend where it is. Possibly she will know.
I agree.
Hmm,
All right.
I suppose. She kind of squints. Anyways, I don't know how her relation is to dragons.
Well, if Yuma's wrong and it didn't die of old age, because if it did, that was a very fast decomposing process that was just a skeleton.
Aye. That is true. He did say that it was a skeleton.
Not exactly what happens to dragons when they die, but if they're anything like any other corporeal being, especially one of that size, it would take possibly months for it to completely just decompose.
Aye.
Which
Wait a
leads me to
second.
believe that somebody might have killed it.
Wait a second. Didn't they say that? How long ago was that meeting with the dragons? Like, how long did we spend in?
It was like a couple of weeks. I think it was like 3.5 weeks total.
Because like they said that they got the ping 2 weeks ago when we met with the dragons, and then how long was it from that meeting? We went to the thieves' town, and then went to Valzor's town, and then now we're at the capital. How many days was that? Has it been a week?
Week and a half.
I cannot imagine it being that quick to have a skeleton corpse. All right. Well, that will be a mystery, I suppose. Guess we
Well,
can inquire them about that.
I feel it prevalent to talk about the people we met at Valzor's village with our friend,
Hmm.
seeing as they seem to be high powers.
Aye, but I have a feeling that she already knows.
Either way,
All right, then. Is there anything else you wish to say? Do we want to prepare a speech? Do we even want to prepare a speech?
feel like playing by ear is the best you can do with her.
I don't know how to act with her. She looks to Eris. That's probably brimming with happiness right now. Hey, and you're super excited. Alright. Well, I suppose we start going? She starts standing up. I imagine they were eating through this whole entire time. By the way, what do we need to pay for like food?
2 copper.
Dang damn it, I only have gold.
Just assume that you broke down a platinum in the fancy tavern.
Perfect. Thanks.
Perfect. I have 2 copper.
Alright. Do you have anything else to discuss?
Don't think so.
She head pats Reyna and starts heading over to the other table.
Yep.
Okay. In the meantime, would Yuma take Ember up on her offer for just a simple game of dice?
Yeah, I think he would at least try it once.
All right. Go ahead and roll 4d6 tire total wins. She's keeping it simple since he said he's new.
4d6.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. 14.
13. You win 2 silver.
Nice. After winning, he'd be like, "Ooh, this is fun."
Just be very
Yeah.
aware, it can easily go the other way very quickly. So do it responsibly.
I'll keep that in mind.
But it can be a lot of fun. I enjoy it as well. Oh, you are done having your conversation. Hello.
Yes.
Hello. We are essentially ready to head out unless you wish to spend some more time with your game.
No, I was just introducing him to the concept. I'm sure we'll have plenty of time. Hopefully, at least this evening. But if not, then, the next time we meet. But if you are done, then I don't want to hold up this friend of yours any longer. So let us continue.
Well,
Apologies,
listen,
Yuma. It was a pleasure, but we have plans.
Yeah. No. I will. I guess I will talk to you all again later. Hopefully.
Of course. And like I said, you know where to find me now. Should you have a question for me, and I do not stop by here. So, but
All right.
farewell, and she'd start heading out, and hopefully the party also heads out.
yo,
Oh man, we're going into a meeting with Namora with an 8-foot spirit.
Not going to say anything too much, but what you know of her's probably going to be entertained.
Oh yeah.
So,
Okay, we try to find the most expensive portion of town.
do you ask around or do you just start walking?
Ask around.
Yeah, probably be easier. Though we might get
Okay.
suspicious looks.
No, not really. People want to at least look at it through the gates, like through the fencing.
Yes, that's fair.
You might get suspicious looks if you ask people like, "How do I get in there?" But
Yeah,
if
no.
you're just like, "Where do I go to see it?" you can get some directions. So we'll say, for expediency's sake, as you're walking around, first thing you start noticing, and I'll start giving a full description of the town as you're no longer in the more entrance side of things where it's very varied in how it looks. So far, you've seen very tall buildings that are built with all sorts of different designs that have been meant to accommodate different walks of life. You've seen your typical wooden taverns, Samber's marble-looking fancy hotel, Reina's elven tavern or inn. You've seen some that look maybe not like where you're from, Yorglot, but Eastern Dynasty like esque buildings, even though it's very out of place. It's different, it's unique enough that it draws a very select crowd. And while you all are aware that Viern doesn't very well, or doesn't have very good relationships with the Eastern countries, there are still those people that are here that are from there, so they do cater at least enough to market to them. You see some that have a little bit of a remnant of Antir, but they don't look particularly fancy. But there are some built with that shape as well. You see some various different types of smiths and restaurants, but then you start making it into the more residential side of town where you start seeing more uniformed architecture and you see very gothic looking houses and buildings, and they're very well made, finely crafted, finely sculpted. And the town streets are fairly wide. The narrowest path you've seen so far is about a 10-foot wide alley. There's nothing that you would have to squeeze between or down into. Everything seems very meticulously laid out, and the whole town seems to almost have like a circular design to it that goes around the walls. And one thing that you can note is that no matter where you go in the town, you can always see the walls. that is always visible. Before you make your way through the residential area and you get some directions, and they guide you more towards like the northern center portion of town. So kind of like if you were to draw a line, you're about exactly middle from east to west, but you are on the northern edge of the town. And you start approaching, and you see a very large, like finely crafted silver fence that goes all the way around. And behind it, you see what looks to be some very large, fancy buildings that are larger than your average mansions, none of which that really get to the point of the palace in Antir, from what you can tell. Um, Go ahead and make a perception check for me, 2 people from the party, whoever wants to.
I vote Eris as one because she'd be so excited.
26.
Well, I'm
Nat
going to just say
20.
she can give advantage. She can be a part of the people looking. So, Raina, if you
That
want to
was a
look.
nat
That was a nat 20, yeah.
Okay, so it's not going to get higher.
20.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure. You very clearly can tell that there is some form of an illusion on this fence that makes it hard to distinguish the true nature of whatever is behind it. So while it already looks very, very flamboyant and flashy and over the top, it is hiding something still. And you're looking around and you see that there are surprisingly very few guards watching this fence.
Oh boy.
But this is where everyone has told you that the Ascendants seem to live or spend most of their time.
Does Brianna tell us about the gate? Or the fence, I mean?
Let me try. Let me think.
Okay.
Gate. Is fake.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
Yes.
And
If
as she says that, the rest of you are able to pick it out as well.
Oh right. How do
Is
we
there
get in?
is there an obvious like opening though where the gate is, or like?
Yeah, I'll say about 175 feet to the south of where you're at, following the wall or the gate, like fence, further down towards the center of town. You do see what looks to be like an arch that is shut, but it seems like that is at least an entrance.
All right. How do we ask to get in, or do we just go?
At the arch, does it seem like there's any guards?
So you walk to the arch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As you walk to the arch, and when you get within 10 feet of it, it opens.
Oh, of course.
Walk in.
I
Right? As you
keep. Renee just keeps an eye on everyone to see if if something weird happens once we go through.
no, you make your way through the gates, and as you do, the first thing is the gate slams shut behind you with the clanging of metal, and you can hear a very audible locking sound, but there is no person near you. It seems to be doing it on its own accord at the very least, unless maybe there's somebody invisible in the vicinity, but nothing indicates that.
Can I use see invisibility?
You are more than welcome to. There is nothing there. It seems like it is doing it on its own.
Okay. Well, let's wait. Yeah. I still
Wanna go
burn a spell
pat?
for that.
When we go
Um,
past the gate, does the vision change?
Yes. As you take a look around, the first thing you notice is the buildings that you thought you saw before. None of them are there. In fact, you don't see any buildings at first. Seems like just a massive, wide open, empty park with fountains, various beautiful plants, flowers, and trees. Before you slowly look up, and in the sky, you see just anteater-sized palaces kind of just floating.
Okay. Oh, really showing how much power you have. Okay.
It
And
definitely feels like every single one of them is having a contest with each other of how extravagant theirs can be.
And how many palaces are there?
You see 5 in total.
Oh,
Are they named?
No, not that you can tell at least.
all right. Now how do we figure it out? I feel like it's not going to be that easy.
Jorglat's just gonna
'Cause of...
start levitating and go.
Oh well, fuck you.
Let me look up levitate because I do believe that you have
There's
a
a certain
limit.
limit that
Yeah, it's not fly. I can just move a certain amount of feet every time, or every like turn and push off things.
Wait, how far is it above?
Oh yeah, how high up are they?
They look like they're a couple 100 feet up, so a good ways up there. And you start levitating, and you're looking around, and you're waiting for a moment. For about maybe 40 seconds later, you see a carriage with very beautiful sort of like completely enclosed I guess a carriage. I'm lacking a word in my brain right now for whatever reason, but it has a driver in the front seat on the outside of it, and 4 very sturdy, strong-looking Mustang-like horses pulling it, and it is just running through the sky right now and on its way down directly towards you.
Does it seem like there's a driver?
Yeah, there's a driver in front of it.
They look like he wants to kill me.
Go ahead and make an insight check.
All right,
that's a fair question.
it's a 16.
At first, it seems a bit difficult to tell at the distance he's at. Before, as you get a bit closer of a look, does not seem hostile in nature.
You're good, I guess. Would just keep. He'll stop, and if it seems like he's not slowing down to like not hit me, he'll keep going up.
It doesn't look like he's going to run into you. They're headed
And
towards you,
we'll
though.
just stop and wait.
But you stop and wait, and as you wait a couple more moments, you hear the carriage very gently set onto the ground, and then the wheels begin to roll as if normal on pavement would, and it comes to a stop. So it kind of turns and points to the door in front of you. We were expecting you. Please. The door opens for you on its own accord.
Sweet.
All right.
Is the carriage
We-
big enough to hold 6 of us?
It definitely looks like it can at least hold 6.
Hop in.
Ember seems very concerned at this whole ordeal. But follows, gets in,
Green will be last.
kind of looks to Arthur, seeing how he's handling this.
He is very shocked right now what he's witnessing. Like he's a little bit in disbelief right now.
Kind of just rubs his head. Same. No worries. You're not alone. Before? You feel the trotting, and the carriage very gently lurches forward and kind of rocks you all a little bit. You can hear the clacking and clopping of hooves against the pavement for a few seconds before you get a sort of like almost uneasy like stomach in your throat feeling as the carriage lifts off to the ground, begins making its way up into the sky to one of these very large palace-like buildings.
Raina's like clutching to the chair
With Bear.
and she's shaking.
Brittany would try to like put a hand on her and like try to comfort her a bit.
You make your way up to the building. It pulls up to a back sort of like stable area, sets down. This time, as compared to having it open on its own accord, the driver gets up, walks to the side, opens the door for you, and bows. Please, come on in.
Bernine kind of gets nervous a little bit, takes a deep breath. Okay. Good luck, everyone. And she
Thank you.
starts walking in.
Yoga follows.
As you walk in, the first thing you see is a very large entryway. Even though this is a back entrance, it does come into a very large, sort of open hallway. There is a line, a procession almost, of maids and butlers that are all standing on either side, differently dressed than your cat. Not the same style of maid attire, but yes, she wears a maid outfit all the time, so.
Right, I keep forgetting. Yep. Yeah.
But, similar in nature, and they welcome honored guests. Can we get you anything? Would you like us to take your coats? Or find you something more comfortable to wear?
I'm okay, thank you.
I am good.
No, thank you.
We're the most awkward party ever.
Ember just kind of follows close behind everybody. All right, well, if there's nothing that we can get you for now, please, right this way. And they open up a door, and it leads into a large dining hall. The table looks like it can probably sit close to 200 people if needed.
Oh, did Arthur buy food? Because
We'll say yes, because he did say he was going
Yeah.
to do that.
You got like cupcakes and desserts and stuff.
Go ahead and
Okay.
mark off 3 silver.
Okay.
Okay. Alright. Then we go in.
And they guide you in. Then, please just wait here for a moment. We will let her know that you have arrived, though I'm sure she is already aware. Make yourselves at home.
Hi. Mm-hmm.
Other way, Yoga will just read.
Renine is like taking like deep breaths. She turns to Ember and Arthur. Just so you know, haven't been here before.
I can tell.
Hmm.
You'd wait for a while, about 10-15 minutes of silence. Only noise that can be heard is whatever you're doing to entertain yourselves, the flipping of your God's pages, or the occasional shuffle of bear moving, things like that.
Renine will make Shadow do some weird dance to try to entertain her.
All right.
Is there awkward silence?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Bear is gonna cough up a fish.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's just the
Thank you, Bear.
trigger he has when there's awkward silence.
Awkward silence. Fish.
Renine kind of just like gives him a scratch on the on like the neck. It's like, this must be really hard for you, Bear.
Where the fuck did he get the fish?
They just ate fish last night.
Yeah. Yeah, last night.
Shorter
It's
fish
not
ever,
old
whatever.
fish like last time.
Yeah, that's right.
But after the 15 minutes passes, finally a door would open, and in would walk Namora. The illusion still kind of covering her face, still as tall as ever. Hello. You finally made it. Glad you mostly all arrived.
Yeah. Valzor had decided to stay behind at his village. They came under some harsh times, and he thinks it's best that he helps his family out.
Yes, I gave him a hand during all of that, I'm aware. But, still wish he had come and said hello one more time. But I guess I can go visit him at some point.
Well, first off, we have no additional members that I believe you already know.
Please, introductions are still important. Impressions matter.
She kind of like stands near them, kind of like slightly protective, but well, she kind of gestures to first Arthur,
He
looks at
just
him if
gives
he
a.
wishes to. Huh?
He just gives like a little wave.
Big wave.
Oh yeah,
This is
big wave. He's able
Arthur.
to.
This is Arthur.
A pleasure to meet you, Arthur.
Wait, oh wait, he's as tall as her.
Correct.
Yep. He's gonna go in for a handshake.
Oh,
Braver than I would expect. I like it. She'd reach out and shake your hand.
Thank you. And he just goes back a bit.
8'2" burly spirit. Thank you.
not, the thing is, he's not really burly. He's skinny, right?
Yeah, he's
Like
skinny.
as a pig.
Yeah, it doesn't really give him muscle. He's just tall.
You
Take normal small 12-year-old and just like if you
stretch
could
it.
like put him in like to an art program and just click on the corner and drag size, that's essentially what happened. Nothing changed other than just overall height. But
Then Renine would slowly, just still in the kind of like protective way. And this is, she kind of like looks to Ember if she wishes to introduce herself or not.
my name is Ember Ferris. Pleasure, though I think you've had a few run-ins with others before, so I understand your caution. But I am quite impressed. You've done a lot more than I thought your group would be able to accomplish in a short time.
We try.
Aye. Well, we have been diligent in not saying, to be frank, anything.
There have been a few times that
You have
I've been notified you said too much, but it is true that you have not revealed anything of that much importance.
Eris would probably be piping up. It's like, I've said your name quite a few times.
I'm not going to interact with any of what Eris is doing
Yeah.
with her. That will be later.
Yeah, that would be a personal thing. But
We are here now, on your summons.
And I do appreciate it. Would you like me to start with the business side of things or the casual side of things?
she looks to Rainy looks to Arthur, Ember, and Rena, and kind of looks to the rest of the party. I believe an explanation would be better. But she looks to Arthur and Ember in particular, unless you both wish to have a casual talk and then talk about it.
Ember shrugs.
Arthur?
I would like to know, but I think this would be a good time to pull this out, and he then just starts pulling out and handing cakes to everyone.
You brought treats. I love it. She takes a seat at one of the chairs, and it's something that is often lost is people think that I have everything, and thus the show of generosity is lost on me. But I do appreciate it.
And he just gives like a little smile and just like rubs his two fingers together. Oh, thank you.
All right. Well, then, while we eat, you said you wanted an explanation. I feel it is only proper that I respond in kind. Where would you like me to start? Just from the beginning, or do you have questions, Arthur?
Well, I haven't really been told much about you, and I just want to know, kind of like a simplified version so I could wrap my head around it.
Sure. Are you familiar with Ascendants, Arthur?
I have heard the description. We have talked about it, yes?
Well, my name is Namora. I am one of such beings in this realm. Suffice to say it, if I were to describe it as simply as I can for you, I am an individual who is strong enough at what she does to be potentially next in line to ascend to godhood, should the space open up for me.
As soon as she says godhood, he like kind of coughs over his words, like, "Oop." Oh, really? That is rather interesting.
Indeed, it is. But, well, some of them might actively seek to force their spot open and force their seat in the pantheon open. I simply sought the power to protect that which I care about. And so I have no such grand dreams of taking that seat from the person above me. But should it open, I would not be adverse to it. But suffice it to say that it is not my priority personally. Now, I'm sure at this point you have figured out that your party is dabbling in this same path that I have taken. She kind of
Kind of
looks.
just, he turns to look at his party, just like, he just looks at them, then looks back at her, then looks at them again, and then looks back at her, and just nods his head.
I'm glad that you were able to catch on to that. What you should know is I do not mind if any of your individual goals or ambitions are different from mine. If you wish to make a seat in the Pantheon for yourselves, that is fine. If you simply wish to have it so that you can gain some answers, that is also fine. You do not have to seek to protect that which it is that I protect. But if I do you a favor, or if I help you, I think it is only natural that no matter how powerful we are in this world, that we return the favor in kind. So, first, I'd like to just say thank you for replying to my summons and making your way here with relative haste. I know I said time was not of the essence, but I do appreciate that you did not keep me waiting for too long, and I do appreciate it. With that, I've had some of my devoted, when she looks at Arthur again, to catch you up, dear, devoted are essentially like my right hand helpers. They do whatever I need or whatever I ask of them, much like a party would, except with one that is above the rest instead of equals like you all are. I don't wish for you to try to turn what you all have into what I have. It's a completely different dynamic to the group, and I like what you have going on, but just so you know who they are. I've had them look into some of the, well, for lack of a better term, dungeons that we know of in the nearby vicinity to Viern. Some are a little bit further away, and thus I would have to send you by teleportation and recall you by the same manner. So I would send somebody with you to wait at the entrance. But they have gone in and investigated, and without spoiling any of the fun for you, solved it to see what it would look like and what sort of benefits it might provide to you. And they've returned to me with a few of these for each of you. So, whenever you would like to get a little bit stronger, you feel free to come talk to me, and I'm happy to tell you all about them. However, you have just arrived, and I think it would be a shame if I were to send you off the day you arrived. So, before we get too far into the business talks, I will still tell you what I want from you today, but before we get to that, I do think some rest is in order for you. How much time do you think you all would like? I would probably recommend at least 2 months.
Oh, that was a much longer break than I thought we would have. Shit. 2 months is fine.
Gives us time to get some information. Learn about the city.
Good. Then, unless you inform me otherwise, I will assume 2 months is all you need. However, should you choose to accept my other request, know that, again, I will repay the favor in kind. But this request will work you much more ragged than the last. Your trip here was a bit of a test, albeit you got yourselves involved in a lot more than I expected. Did not imagine when I left you in Mishla that you would then get involved with the going-ons in Antir. I figured you would not travel that direction, but as you know, Caleb and I are quite pleased with how you handled that, and for those that don't know here that are present, Caleb is another ascendant, much like myself, that I worked with during that endeavor of theirs. As well as a recent event, though the attacking of the town had nothing to do with me, I did negotiate with another ascendant, which I believe he introduced himself to you, Ristal, to organize a bit of a test rather than a war. But I was not expecting that you would get involved in that either. So, you seem to have a penchant for sticking your nose into trouble, so if you'd like to stick your nose into more trouble, I have more work for you.
Well, we stuck our nose into that trouble because it was with Valzor's village.
Yeah, it does seem like we're always in the right place at the right time.
That's kind of how it goes when you start getting involved in the affairs of Ascendants. I am not going to lie. It happened to me, and it's happened to every single one that I've known. When you start dabbling in the affairs, they tend to, for better or for worse, find you whether you want them to or not.
Okay.
Well, we do appreciate the work, and I'm sure most of us, if not all of us, would be happy to take on a couple of jobs.
Reneen would slowly look to Ember as she hasn't said anything.
Ember's keeping quiet at the moment.
Is there anything else you wish to talk about, Namora?
Well, if I don't have any outward objections to at least hearing the requests, then I would like to at least give you an idea of what it is that I'm looking for.
I think that's fair.
All right. Well, recently within the town of Viern, there have been some disturbing rumors going on as of late. Normally, my ability to gather information is next to none, which leads me to believe if there are things going on that I can prove to have happened but can't discern how, it likely means there's another ascendant, likely that of my equal, involved. And knowing what it was like for me when I kept getting myself caught up in the workings of the ascendants of my time, that likely means that if I ask you to do it, you will have the knack to fall right where I need you to.
What
Mm.
what going ons are you talking about?
Well, I pride myself on keeping this town safe, but lately there have been disappearances. People going missing. Nobody's, really. People that normally wouldn't matter if they disappeared. But it's too many to not notice at this point. Whoever it is, and whatever they're after, they don't seem interested in targeting anybody of importance, anybody that would raise an eyebrow if they disappeared, but they've been targeting the poor, the common, for lack of a better word, boring individuals that keep to themselves, don't do anything, and have no notoriety to their name. And it's not as if they just disappeared and then, their body turned up a couple weeks later. They disappear, and it's almost as if all trace of their life disappears. Their belongings, their property, their possessions, it's all erased in a way that other people can't even tell it happened. If they owned a house, no one seems to remember that that person lived there. If they had a business, the business is replaced by something else, and it goes on as is normal. It's almost like the town is rewriting itself under my own nose, and I don't like it. On top of that, well, I'm not as against him as I was the one from Antir. Restall's group seems to be much more active recently, and I can only imagine that your encounter with him, so close to the capital, the going-ons in the capital, and the increased reports of his people moving about have to have something in common. But even if I were to go to him and just ask, he's not likely to tell me. But perhaps if you somehow run into him again, he might be willing to speak to you. He seemed intrigued by you as well. And while I would certainly hope you don't ever think about going against me, I'm certain he would love nothing more than to win you to his side. But that doesn't mean you can't try to use that to your advantage. But what I want you to do, and I don't really care how you do it, I'll leave it up to you. Like I said, you'll probably have the ability to just fall into this because it's not something I'm planning. Pretty certain if I told you where to go, there would be nothing waiting for you there anyhow. That you would be able to at least uncover hints of what their goal is. Anything you can tell me would be appreciated. But I expect this will take some time. when I have you start working on this. And it's not going to be quick, and it's not going to be easy. So I want you to enjoy your time off, whether you can, which is why I recommend at least 2 months.
All right. Well, now that that is settled that you wish to tell us,
There was
could you... Oh,
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't know you were continuing.
could you now explain everything? From the start.
And from the start of when I met you, or from the start of time existence?
From the
Oh,
start that you met us.
She would begin to relay the events of all of the things that have happened since the town of Mishla in the campaign, for those that don't know, and would let you know that anybody in her presence, well, they don't need to make another blood pact, as she trusts the group at this point, that she would also dissolve yours, and you're free to talk about it amongst yourselves. But, lest you think this is a green light to, well, a free signal to go ahead and talk to anybody about this, that if she ever hears you told somebody inappropriate about the things that happened, she will still be aware. She has contacts across the country.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But Ember and Arthur are now included, and the party can at least discuss amongst themselves with anybody in the party whatever they wish.
Okay, finally can erase that note of having the blood mark for 6 months. All right.
or there was some questions that we had as well about some other missions that we're trying to accomplish here in Viern.
And I'm happy to help. As long as you understand that, depending on the questions, I might ask you to give me an answer on whether you intend to return the favor or not and accept my request.
Well, first one is we wanted to try and find the Arcadian Dragon Temple here in Viern.
Easy enough. It's just outside of the walls to the north. Might be in a bit of disarray now, but easy enough to spot.
Okay.
For those that have the world map available or easy access or want to go look in world info, it is the temple / ruins that's just right above here.
Oh, okay. It's not in the city.
Oh. Oh, well, fuck. Okay. Gonna have to take a travel to there.
Well, the city walls go right up to the edge of that thing.
Oh.
The town is
Oh.
that big. I just didn't want to flood the
shit.
map.
Fuck. Okay. That. Okay.
Jesus.
Anyways.
Thank you. And is there any information you might have on this dead ancient dragon that we've heard of?
I have heard a bit about it. It is concerning to me as well.
We met somebody coming out of the Underdark who talks about it quite freely and as if it's normal. I don't think they very much understand what an ancient dragon is. Or
Well, I haven't kept my eyes on you since you left the Underdark, but are they of fox-like person?
Yes. We even met them as a fox.
Well, then I think it's safe to assume that yes, it indeed is, for where he's from, likely normal to him.
You
He
know,
stated that he was from a village on top of the mountain somewhere.
I've never been there, but I've read about it, and yes, I know what you speak. So at the very least, it doesn't seem to me like he is lying about that. But
you know what could have killed this beast. I don't know too much about dragons, but I know they live for quite a long time, and I find it unlikely that it died of old age.
well, it's not entirely out of the realm of impossibility with this one. He was extraordinarily old. However, the suddenness of it does concern me, and the lack of knowledge of it concerns me as well. I'm sure you have gathered by now that while I might not be accepted by all of the dragons, when you get to a point like this, you at least have one or two you can talk to. And normally, when a dragon is going to pass from old age, they normally can tell it is about their time. And so they begin to make preparations. They inform the others, they tell them who they wish to inherit their position, if at all possible, if they're prestigious enough of one. They generally perform basically a departure ritual by themselves, and maybe for any close dragons that they're connected with. But it's normally known of. It's very rare that one dies of old age with no information. And the few I spoke with could not tell me anything to that extent. So, when it comes to this in particular, well, I cannot say he did not die of old age. And while I cannot say to what extent it has implications of, it seems too convenient that a very powerful being died at the same time that things are going on in my town that I cannot explain. The same time Restall's group is more active. You get the picture. I think there's something more going on.
Well,
But I also think it's too early to jump to conclusions and rule out old age until we know more.
well, from that person, the fox one, he stated that he saw the skeleton.
No decomposing flesh, just the skeleton of the beast.
That might actually lend a little bit of credence to his story. Either that or who or whatever did this knew of the rituals of dragons. Dragons are incredibly powerful beings. Even after death, their bodies can be used for incredibly powerful armor, weapons, and the like. Their scales are incredibly tough. Their eyes and heart are incredibly powerful reagents. And so it is not uncommon for when a dragon dies of old age to have kin decompose or destroy that which would be easily used for evil. So it is entirely possible then that this is indeed what happened, and perhaps it's all just convenience. But it is also entirely possible that someone like myself, who knows of that ceremony, could fake it.
Hmm.
Then, do you think that there is an ascendant that could kill this ancient dragon?
Maybe not by himself, but with help? Possibly. especially if it was by surprise. Well, I would never do it to my allies. It would not be unheard of for somebody to spend decades winning someone over only to sacrifice them for their plan, especially when you have as much time as we do. So if he thought that it was a friend, I could definitely see an ascendant managing.
Hmm.
What scares me more is the possibility that the dragon was willing to give its life to help whoever this was in their endeavors.
Hmm.
That scares me the most.
Then, do you suggest that we essentially earn favor with this fox?
If you think he serves any more use than he already has. Or if you have any fancy in him.
Well, I think as a first step, we'll probably head to this temple and figure out what we can find there.
Very well. Like I said, when I can't find out, it means somebody equally as good as me is planning for my moves. Which is where a group like yours might come in handy. You don't have the same patterns, precision, and mastery over your years of craft and adventuring. It's much harder to predict where you're going to go.
Oh yeah.
So, while they might be able to guess my next move, I doubt they'll be able to guess yours.
We're
So,
very unpredictable.
my recommendation is do whatever you would do and just keep me informed.
Right.
And if you hit a dead end, I will give you advice, but I've been at a dead end since I left you for Mishla.
I see.
Any other questions?
Do we get to know what truly was behind the Meshla's activities, or is that still a secret? Or is it too dangerous for us to know?
That thing in the basement of the tavern.
I was more referring to the giant thing.
I suppose I can tell you now. We'll start with the giant thing, because the giant thing is what I was there to handle. Those spires, towers, whatever you want to call them, serve as an anchor for connecting our realm with the other one. They make it easier to weaken the barrier, as they constantly flood the area around it with the energy from the other realm, slowly corrupting it and turning it into a fell wasteland of spirit rot. Which at this point I think you have a good understanding of what that is.
Without life?
More that it is a corruption of those who wander between the realms that are not protected.
I.
But so individuals that would oppose me, such as Ristal, have occasionally been known to erect those before. The whole goal, the purpose, as you would, is to forcibly rejoin the realms before we've dealt with the powerful influences that lay dormant on the other side. My mindset is that I would rather deal with those first before we connect them. Their mindset is, how can we deal with them until we connect them and have our strongest over there? There is validity, I would say, in both sides, which is why I do not outwardly oppose their every action. That, and it would be calamitous if we were to constantly be fighting of that scale. However, they are essentially two means to the same goal. At the end of the day, most of us agree that we do eventually want to rejoin the realms, and that they can't stay like this forever. It's just a matter of how we want to go about it. That thing, as you call it, that you saw in the tavern, is likely someone about equivalent to Drydeer from the other side. And that is why he was able to retain his sanity. But he probably got sucked up with the tower, and thus was not immune to it like he would normally be. The Ascendants and our devoted are able to travel within reason, and with few exceptions, between the realms for a short period of time. We do need to return after a few months or so, lest it get too much for even my body to handle. But there are also exceptions to this rule. I believe you, Yorglot, had talkings the most with one of them from Antir. Specific people who, for whatever reason, have an immunity to the worst of the effects, or who are able to recover from being forcibly sent over here. Not everybody turns into those things, but most do. And it tends to be when you unwillingly travel that the effects are the worst. Portals, things of the like, you might be able to go through and suffer minor complications of spirit rot. But major portals that are forcibly opened and pull everything nearby through them tend to be much less safe. So that is likely what you saw. Do you have any other questions about what happened in the town?
I do have one. What can you tell us about the forest above Mishla?
That is a place that most descendants dare not tread.
Oh, the Dryad place?
Is there a reason?
There are few beings in this world that truly terrify us. Ancient dragons being one of them, if we had to fight them in one-on-one combat. A dryad in her home forest is another. Wander in there unprepared without help, and you are likely to never find your way out again, either by being stuck in an endless maze of trees constantly shifting and blocking your path, or by every branch, twig, vine, and blade of grass in the forest pulling you down 10 feet under. Even ascendants would find it hard to trek far enough into there to manage anything worthwhile while the entire forest fights against them. And since it's more of a natural ability, it's not as easy to just nullify the magic. It's to the point where it is almost as if she is nature herself. If you have any business there, I recommend that you only go there when you are invited. And if you have an invitation, good luck, but be careful.
Is all Renine gets out of her mouth.
Do you know of a way to cleanse the land near Mishla of the spirit rot that's infected it?
Yes, but unfortunately, we do not have the time nor the power to spend our resources on that right now.
It was the only place that provided something that was a cure from spirit rot.
Yes, and as unfortunate as it may be, if I were to deploy all of my devoted there to assist in curing it, what happens here? What happens elsewhere?
That is fair.
If we found a way, we could go, yes.
Of course. I am not in the business of controlling what you do.
You have any lead or anything to help us find that ability?
I will prepare something. It will likely take me several months, but I will prepare essentially as much energy as I can into an artifact of my own that will allow you to perform the rituals yourselves. And you can take it.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Do not let it fall out of your hands when I give it to you.
Make sure it doesn't leave my side.
Perfect. Before that, though, like I said, enjoy your 2 months of downtime. Then I will run you ragged with the work that I have here and in the nearby area. And then if I am ready at the end of that, then I will have that item prepared for you as well. And if all else fails and it is not ready by the end of that, then I will simply call upon you when I have it finished. But while you're enjoying your 2 months of downtime, those of you who wish to get stronger, come and talk to me. And to answer your question about befriending the fox, the kitsune as it were, do as you will. If you plan on bringing him along, I will trust your judgment. I will not put him through the same tests that I put you all through, as you all passed my tests brilliantly. And I would recommend that your first priority would be to bring him up to speed with the rest of you. That is, to, at the very least, let him experience a dungeon once. Not one of the ones that I've found that should be easy enough for one of you. I'm talking one of the ones that have posed you a challenge thus far. That way he can understand the ramifications of what he's getting himself into. And if you truly trust him, at some point, to bring him here, I will accept you all back, so that he can see just how powerful of people he is dealing with. It is not something simple to just bring people into. It is life-changing and dramatic, to say the least.
Hence why I waited so long to introduce Ember and Arthur.
Well,
By that time, Ember would pipe up. I feel like, having nearly died in the dungeons, or the dungeon, having fought against whatever the fox that snake was, I feel like I'm pretty much already in it, whether I want to be or not. But I do appreciate the sentiment.
sorry.
Perfect then. We have our next couple of goals. We appreciate the talk as always, Namora.
Of course. Oh, and before you go, I do have just one gift that I would like to give you for now, just as a thank you for replying to my summons.
Absolutely.
Bring out a set of gems, total of 7, as she had prepared one for Valzor that was red of color.
Mm.
These are a creation of my own. They are tied to a sending gem that I have, each one of these connecting you to me. If you are ever in dire straits, you can contact me. And if it is particularly dire, and you all wish me to, I can sacrifice all of these gems and come to you. But that can only happen once.
Thank you.
So only use them when you're truly overwhelmed.
We appreciate it.
Well, before we leave, I wanted to inform you. How closely were you watching us before Valzor's village?
I watch when I feel like it.
Kind of figured.
I have not
We-
watched you bathe, if that's what you're asking.
Thank you for that. I was I was more referring to Arthur here. His home had a portal connecting between the realms. And 2 of our party members were affected by spirit rot. Thankfully, we were able to cure it. But Valzor had something in his eye that we did not know what to deal with.
I will send Dread here to take a look.
But we essentially destroyed that portal.
All right.
We burnt the house down.
And there seemed to be a noble that really wanted that house.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Don't
can
know if
have my people look into it, but like I said, I've been at a dead end, so I can't guarantee you I'll find anything. If this has
No.
anything to do with what I'm looking into, I will likely come up with nothing. I'll let you know if I find something, though.
I just thought maybe that information would be useful. She looks to Arthur.
Arthur just looks back at her.
Uh,
Hmm?
Speaking of which, if we were to go to City Bank, where exactly would that be?
There are 2 that I would recommend. There is the Dragon's Horde. It is run by a group of Feltir, half-dragons, if you will. And then there are the Loot Goblins. Aptly named, they're ran by goblins who have a fancy for loot. If you're looking for something extravagant with all the bells and whistles and perks and everything that comes with it, I'd recommend the Dragon's Horde. Though I believe they have a minimum opening cost of 10,000 platinum, if I recall.
it's not necessarily to actually store money. But I appreciate it. We'll check them out.
Very well. Well, if you have any idea of what you're going for, I might be able to help you further. But like I said, if you want everything possible, the Dragon Sword. If you're looking for simple, the Loot Goblins.
Well, I guess one that would hold inheritances.
Ah,
Do you have something to claim the inheritance with?
Yorgot would look over at Arthur.
Arthur would then just pull out the document.
She would examine it for a moment if you let her, and
Yes, he just slowly hands it to her.
she'd hand it back about 30 seconds later. Probably the Dragon Sword for this one.
Thank you.
It's old, though, so I can't guarantee you it's still there.
I'm
Could you-
half tempted to ask how old.
Yeah, could you how old would you say?
Probably a couple centuries.
Yeah, see down there in at Arthur's mansion, they used a weird form of dating I had never seen before. Something about BPE.
BPE.
I think that's what it was called, wasn't it?
I believe it was a different acronym.
wait,
I
hold
believe
on.
it was EPG, if I recall.
Oh yeah,
Wait, hold
EPG.
on.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because sometimes I forget what I have said that far back. Indeed, that is an old one. Refers to the era of the primal gods.
Ah,
Oh boy.
We've since stopped using that dating system.
well,
Hmm.
I guess that gives you a gauge of just how old you are, Arthur.
How
I
do you how do you feel?
I don't really know how to feel right now. Uh, it kind of feels odd. Seeing it, everyone around here. I'm old enough to be all of your great, 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 and he carries on. And then he says grandfather at the end.
You most certainly could be. But I don't know if it matters. I don't know if you're looking for anybody or anything. But if you are from those years, the lifespan of people from back then was much longer than it is now. So there might be hope.
12-year-old boy, 8'2",
Yep.
thousands of years old.
All right.
I think that's all the questions I had, at least.
Very well. Anyone else?
I would like to ask one question. Are you good at finding people?
If they want to be found, very. If they are not wanting to be found, it would depend on who they are and how strong they have become.
Well, I wanted to ask if you could find any information about a family member of mine.
Sure. If you can describe her for me.
And he begins describing his sister and revealing information like her name and personal details he knows.
All right. You would see her pull out an arcane focus from like a pocket of hers that seems to function much like a bag of holding almost. That looks somewhat like a crystal ball, extremely expensive looking. A silver mirror, as well as a font filled with holy water. And she would try casting scrying 3 separate times using each different focus.
Holy moly.
Does does an item of the person help?
Indeed, it does a little bit if you have something.
Robot's gonna reach into his bag and he pulls out a small little box.
Didn't you have the diary too?
Yeah, I did. He'll pull out both. Why not?
Arthur, I meant to give this to you, but kind of got distracted along the ways.
And he's gonna open the box and give Arthur the note, but he's gonna pass the box with the dead flower and the diary over to Namora.
Arthur's gonna just stop reading the note. How long have you had this?
About since your mansion. I
Where-
found it.
Where was it?
Well, that box was in your laboratory, and when I opened it, it seemed like a normal box with just the flower in it. And then I noticed a false bottom and found that note.
He smiles and he says, "Thank you, but this isn't from my sister."
Oh,
Oh, what?
And he asked for. Is it just the box and the note?
There's a flower
yeah.
in there.
He asks for it back.
Hmm?
He asks for the box back and the
Yes.
flower.
Because your god gave it to Namora.
He would hand it back, or she would hand it back then.
And he'll just turn to Yorgla and say, "Would you mind if I kept this?"
no, go ahead.
And he just keeps it close to him, he puts it in his bag.
Well, so
The
Do you know-
diary is from the sister,
Diary.
though.
okay. She begins casting the spell. And the first time it fails. But she casts it again because she wants to test something. And the spell is allowed to be cast a second time. As well as a third time. Which, for those of you that know scrying, if the spell fails because a creature has made a successful saving throw, you cannot again on that creature. The spell won't cast.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that she's able to continue casting means it's failing for some other reason.
Hmm.
Well, I am led to believe that she is either alive somewhere in another realm, behind some form of barrier of non-detection, or worst case scenario is no longer with us. But I was unable to gain any knowledge from casting it other than the spell never seemed to fully be able to target her.
That's okay.
So it's quite possible she is alive, but just somewhere out of my sight.
She's probably fine. She's fine. Then he asks if she could search for one more person,
Of course.
and now he at first he wasn't sure, but he gives back the rose in the box and asks if she could locate a friend of his, and he begins describing um oh a girl called Ivy.
All right. How detailed do you describe her?
From what he remembers.
Go ahead and roll a history check. I'll see. Just to see how accurate the memories still are.
That's 25.
She casts the spell again. This time the spell seems to work. The crystal ball glows, and she stares at it for a while. For about 10 minutes. She watches, examines. I will start by saying that whoever this Ivy person is alive. They seem to be well. But I will add that you may have a bit of misfortune following you still.
That's okay.
Do you
As long
recall the people that you met that observed your friend Valzor's fight?
Yes. Yes, I believe I do.
I think she is with them, or one of them.
Huh?
He doesn't say anything, but he just turns and says, would you excuse me?
Of course,
Yeah, he just gets up and leaves the room.
take all the time you need. Ember would follow him out.
Rainy would also follow.
She rat out his family. Oh my god.
What?
But
People that came and killed his family. Is Ivy the one who ratted him out?
I don't know how you got that, but
it definitely could be.
it could be.
But Namora would kind of put her things away. Apologies. I figure that is probably not the news he wanted to hear about that person. But if it is of any consolation to him, like I said, while I oppose their viewpoint, they are not necessarily my enemies. So as long as they are willing to work with you or not get in your way, I do not care if you take a neutral stance towards this Ivy person.
Well, whoever she is, she means something to Arthur, so we'll probably end up sticking our nose in it one way or another.
Of that I have no doubt. But when he recovers from that, do try to let him know that for whatever reasons she has for joining them, he should not hold any ill will towards her. We're all just trying to do what we think is best.
appreciate it, Amora.
Of course. Now, enjoy your downtime, relax, take your mind off of things for a bit as best you can. See yourselves prepared for what's in store, and should you need anything, you can come ask me any point during the 2 months that you're here relaxing.
Thank you.
Try not to be too big of strangers.
Young'll just give a bowing nod and start walking out. He'll take the diary to give it back to Arthur. But
Yeah. Does Reyna also follow Yorglat out?
See.
Bear happily trots along behind you, and Eris follows a moment after. How's Arthur doing outside?
I was just about to ask that.
He tried to find a chair, and at the moment he looks sad, but he's also looks like he's deep in thought, like he's trying to figure something out.
Ember would just kind of walk over and walk behind him. I would say you weren't able to find a chair right away. You had to sit on the staircase for a moment before one of the butlers or maids comes running over with a chair that is from another room, since you just left the room with all of the chairs. And brings it up and offers it to you. But regardless of whether you're on the stairs or on the chair at that point, Ember would just walk behind you and give you a hug. You're doing okay.
I don't know how I'm doing.
Understandable.
Brienne would shortly after start walking over, but would be quiet and stand next to Arthur.
At this point, he just turns and looks at the ceiling, and just kind of like put one of his hands, or his whole arm over his eyes, so he's basically covering his eyes so you can't see him.
If it is, if you'd ask me, and you do not have to take my advice on it, but at the very least, you learn that they are still alive. Regardless of anything else. If this is someone you care about, that should be good, no? It means you have the chance to talk to them again.
sure we're coming out by now.
Yeah.
Yorglat would just walk over to him and kind of put now that he's super fucking tall, up against his chest, just put the diary.
Here you go, Arthur.
He is just gonna just hug it, and then just stand up, and just turn and say, "I can still save them, can't I?"
She said she looked like she was doing well. So perhaps there is no saving needed. But if you won't feel that they are on the wrong side, then yes, talk to them. And if need be, argue with them. Do what you have to do.
They are alive. You, despite being, a ghost, you are alive. You can talk. You can meet.
I
Brienne is going to try her I imagine she can reach and like try to head pat.
Maybe on your tiptoes, but sure.
Oh my goodness, this is gonna look so awkward in a side point of view.
Uh,
She tries to head pat him.
Thank you. Thank you. Um, I'm not giving up yet. I think I can convince them. I'll talk to them. But first, I think we need to focus on the task at hand. I'll leave my personal feelings to the side for now.
Well, currently we are on a break for 2 months, so
So
take
you
your
know,
time.
so you know what that means?
What?
And he just rubs his eyes. We must go to another cafe. And then he just starts walking up ahead. He's trying to put on a brave face, so he just starts walking off. And he doesn't ask anyone to join him. He just straight up just announces he wants to go to a cafe
Mm.
and just starts walking out, trying to make sure no one sees his face.
All right.
Speaking of which, I have some shopping on my own I want to do.
Well, I'll be heading to a cafe. And she starts walking. I imagine we're going to be going to a carriage, so we're probably all going to be in the same.
Correct. So, for expediency's sake, we can say that it brings you back down. Because I know some people wanted to do shopping together for their downtime on the first day. Everyone heads to the cafe, grabs a bite to eat. It's about lunchtime. And then those that wanted to do their day one shopping can head out on their own and do day one shopping. And that can be the start of the downtime at that point, basically, unless anybody else has anything particularly pressing that they want to do right then and there.
No?
Nope.
All right,
Oh, no, so-
very well. Then, well, we will be doing, for those of you that are watching and for the players that, just to make sure everyone's on the same page, for anyone who wants to, you have the option to do one-on-one sessions or two-on-one sessions, depending on if you want somebody to join you for your downtime with me or in Ember's case with Thee, for what you're going to be doing for the 2 months. But for the more tedious things, we've already gone ahead and we've done most of the roles ahead of time for a lot of this stuff. So if Yorglot, you kind of, we'll just start with you since I know that you were one of the most excited to be able to finally do your crafting stuff again. If you want to start with anything that you would like to reveal now, if anything, you can, or you can save it for the private session.
Well, for one, he's gonna ask. He's gonna collect $500 from Arthur, or 500 gold. Arthur, I know you just learned about your still alive sister and all that, but 500 gold, please.
Still alive friend.
Yeah,
Like,
and sister.
He takes it out and he hands it to Yorglot.
And then he's also going to ask for 500 from Ember and Need.
For the spell weaving.
spell weaving.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then he's gonna go shop. And then weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks later, gonna next time at the end of the downtime when you see him, he'll have. Let's see, he'll have a new ring on his finger. He'll have a this metallic finger cover that kind of comes to a point, and he'll have this um, really cool dark kind of misty looking armband on his arm.
Accessories.
Accessories, yeah. Yeah,
Man,
yeah.
he's into fashion now? Dang. Didn't think he was the type.
Anyhow,
Sorry.
And I think that's about it.
all right. If that's what you want to say now, that is more than fine. Then we will go to Rena, because I also know that you did some really cool things this downtime as well.
So basically, she bought a couple things. She went shopping, and she is going on a mission, and she met what is it? Botanist? I can see.
Yep.
Yeah, she met someone that knows how to deal with plants more, and so she's working on that and getting like materials. She got like 3 pots that she can like work on. And so I'm working on like the nature element. And she's been hanging out with Ember and Renine for like talking and stuff. Just learning.
Indeed.
Renine will take over the reading portion of it once a day.
What, you don't trust Ember's books?
Oh yeah. No. 1 hour a day, Renine will be reading with Reyna throughout
Okay.
the whole 2 months.
But yes, and we did roll for that already, so when we come back from the downtime, it might not be in the one-on-one session, but when we come back from the downtime, Reyna should be able to, albeit maybe not as well, but speak more fluently with more thoughts. Maybe just, like the vocabulary of like a third grader. But we'll be able to interject and ask a lot more questions. And I am really excited to see all of the questions that Reyna starts asking, because I'm sure she has a billion.
What's that thing? What's this thing? What's that thing? Cool.
Ooh.
Kind of like that kid that finally has the ability to ask, and even if they don't understand the answer, they want to know everything.
Why? Why?
Yep.
Why?
But I'm very excited about that. And Bear, I believe, if I recall, is going to grow up a little bit. Am I right?
Oh yeah, he's gonna be a big boy. He's gonna be a tank.
Yes.
So Renine, you don't die. Well, you don't, you
As
can
much.
die less.
Thanks.
One of the 2 people who have actually died.
But
Wait, what?
you're going to have a friend up there with you now.
Cool. Okay. A big boy bear now. All
Yeah,
right.
you're going to be a big boy.
Big boy.
Is he like to the point that if he stands up on his hind legs, he's gonna be taller than Renine, or the same height as Renine?
He's probably going to be taller than you on 4.
Holy shit! Hello, big boy. Oh no, he's not gonna fit on the streets.
No, not really. Like maybe a little bit, but he's going to be a big boy. He probably can solo pull your carriage now.
He's like not a regular bear anymore.
She's awakening that elemental aspect to him. So he's going to go through a pretty big growth spurt.
How's he gonna fit through doors?
That's just gonna be the problem, but I have a Pokeball.
Yes, you do. You can always put him in and pull him out just to get him past the door if you need to.
Bear
Aw.
squeeze through this. Oh, okay.
Maybe
I
Ember
understand.
does need a new lamp. Now that I'm thinking about it, she's going to have to make everything bear accessible again.
Bear necessities.
Oh boy.
And I hope
Oh
in the
my god.
future Rena gets like a room anyway, so
Yes, but upgrading her lamp is a very expensive endeavor. So unless people want to start pitching in, it'll be a while before I think Ember can solo afford it. But I'm very excited. I was super happy when I heard all the things that you wanted to do with Reyna. So I love it all. We'll go to Runine next.
All right. Well, Renine is blasting all of her money on spells.
I'm sure wizards.
Oh yeah, literally on the third day. Um,
That
so
bad, huh?
yeah, because literally the next day after the third day, she starts crafting an original spell. Um, and after that, she's broke. Well, almost broke. She still has some money, but after crafting that spell, she finally starts looking into a job to get her money. And thanks to Ember as well for essentially letting her get an IOU from Ember. She gets to buy the rest of the spells that she wanted to get. And then after all that time working, as well as helping Reyna along the way, she bugs Yorglot a lot for
Yeah,
memories.
must stick a bug in her mouth.
Yeah,
What?
pretty much.
Yep, Bug sticking his bug in her mouth.
No.
It's the same thing that he did to Ember when he developed the spell, and the same thing he did to her at Arthur's mansion
Yeah, when she
or manor.
yeah, when she stated she had no memories, so Yorglot stuck a bug in her mouth to dig into her memories.
I can learn more about you.
Wow, that doesn't sound creepy at all.
Everything about Yorglot is creepy. I don't. This is
Yeah.
normal. Anyhow.
Yeah, this is
Because he's
normal.
the least creepy guy in the world.
But during that time, she'll check on Eris, as well as check on Yuma. And during that time, also invite Yuma to a fighting pit, as well as extend that invitation to the party if they wanted to be included in that. But personally, she will ask Yuma. And yeah, she'll participate every now and then with some of Ember's activities. And that will be it. She, at the end of her 60 days, she goes without armor for the last 20 days of those vacation downtime. I mean, she's not wearing armor for a good long while until the last day. She finally is adorned with mithril armor, which allows her to not have stealth disadvantage anymore. And she is also wearing an interesting belt. And I guess I'll indulge
More later.
more later. Yeah,
Okay.
it has a bunch more fucking spells.
Sure. We'll go Yuma next. Yuma.
Pale.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
You're not Valzor anymore. Come on.
I know, I'm blanked out. So, Yuma's just gonna be doing like small quests here and there, invites the party whenever they're around. On top of that, he will be acting as a bodyguard for Ember whenever she offers it. On top of that, we'll be accepting Renine's invitation to the fighting pit. I haven't really talked with Alord about what happens after all of the like quests and stuff or whatever, but
Yeah.
that's what he's just doing for this downtime. Also trying to get more acquainted with the party as well.
Yeah.
Well, so far it seems like he's not going to have a problem with at least a portion of the party. At least getting acquainted. Whether or not it's a good acquainting is a different story. But they're at least going to give him some chances, so you will know them better.
Mm-hmm.
But very cool. I'm excited to see how the fighting pit works out. I'm glad that you're both going to go for that. Arthur, go ahead.
During the 60 days, he is going to have quite the wacky 2 months. Some days he'll change, sometimes I'll leave that for the private sessions. But as for the items he is going to be getting, he is going to be getting an all-purpose tool, which is a +3. He is going to be getting a staff of the flaming Cerberus. And he is also going to be getting Pride Silk, which is a +1 armor. And for everything else that he's going to be doing, I'm going to leave it to the private sessions.
Okay, very well.
I guess there's also a big event that would be included with everyone of a
Mhm.
dedicated day to the circus.
That wants to go.
wants
Yorglot
to
is
go.
not going, as far as I am aware.
Raina's
Nope,
going.
he's not.
But it is an invitation to everyone,
Including Yuma, if he would like to join.
including Yuma, to go to the circus. So it is a circus that lasts for 7 days, but we're just dedicating 1 day to it. Unless people wish to go there again. That is their leisure. But that is going to be kind of like a special event for everyone, aside from Yorgot.
That'll probably be one of the things that maybe we cover very quickly when we come back from the downtime sessions. Which hopefully, I'm not going to promise it, hopefully we can get the downtime sessions done before next Tuesday, so next Tuesday can be a session as is normal. If we
Yes.
can't, as long as it's only 1 or 2 people, I'm fine if some people just delay their downtime a little bit, as long as I've had a chance to figure out what they're going to buy, do with their money, things like that. But hopefully it'll all be done by next Tuesday, so there won't be any weird things going on with next Tuesday's session. It can happen as is normal. Out of fairness, what Ember's doing, she is going to be performing, as well as going on a couple hunts or quests with Yuma to give him a chance to bond with the party. She's going to be spending a lot of time with Arthur, kind of wanting to give him a time around town, since this is the first time he's gotten to see a town in who knows how many years. As well as for a fair amount of that, offering if Raina wants to join for things like the circus, or I know we talked about going to a park or things like that. So, there'll be a couple days where she invites both of the kids out. As well as just building connections. A lot of what she's trying to do with her downtime is make money so that she can just buy things, because she's not as much of the crafting type as other people in the party are. As well as building strong connections. So, while I'm not going to say the details, Ember spends around 5,000 gold on potentially nothing, and we will see how that turns out, because it is a complete gamble on whether or not that is a thing. And there will be a pretty big surprise for those that watch, because I think at this point it's pretty assured that Arthur and Ember's downtime is going to be combined, right?
Yep.
That Arthur and Ember are going to find an item that may cause all of our plans to go up in smoke. So, if you are interested in potentially watching Chaos, be sure to check theirs out, because they might not come back from the downtime alive, depending on how this works.
Yep.
And, well, Renine will try.
Could potentially. Renine,
I literally put that as a day on my downtime, so like I want to say that she's just there. So she might not participate depending on what happens, but she will be there.
But, so that is our plans, at least in summary, for the downtime. Because the fact that it's going to be so much downtime, it is going to be a little bit, not by much, but a bit shorter of a session today, because I don't want to pressure anybody to start going into their downtime right now in the middle of a session when there are other people waiting for their turns and we only have about 30, 40 minutes left. Thereabouts, maybe a bit more. But, so thank you everybody who wanted to watch. hope you all enjoyed the backstory and their first interactions with Namora again after all of these sessions.
Yeah.
And, we will see you next Tuesday, if not sooner, on those one-on-one sessions. So have a good one,
yeah.
everyone, and thank you for watching.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Right,
Bye.
bye-bye.
Hey, toodaloo.